What's happening? Hardest working guy in streaming. Robnoerr here, Normal America Show. I'm your host. How's it going? Third stream today after about 20 hours of streaming the past 2 days. You know, trying to keep busy, keeping busy. Let's hit that dono goal tonight, folks. $1,000. I have house problems. Uh-oh. My wife informed me our windows are leaking in our bedroom. I think because it was so cold and we got so much snow that the heat in the house, the seals on the window in our bedroom have started to leak. So, whoopee! Time for new windows. Yay! I haven't been window shopping for a while. Oh, look at that. That's sort of a double meaning, right? So yeah, I will be window shopping. So get those donos in, folks. Let's have a bummer of a stream, shall we? I think it'll be fun. We'll keep positive no matter what. Can we promise that? No matter how much yelling and screaming that I do. I've never gone window shopping, no. No matter how much yelling and screaming I do, no matter how bummy things are and how pessimistic I get, can we promise to at least have some fun tonight? Can we promise that? Nah, it's leaking pretty good. I don't think it's condensation. We could be lucky. It could be a simple fix. No trips to Home Depot today. The snow's still terrible. So, yeah, Windows could upgrade, I think, anyways, for, right, they say for heating and everything. So, pretty old house. PhD defense next week. Do I have any advice? Let's see. What advice would I have for a PhD defense? I never did that. I only have a master's degree, but you've done the work. You're confident you know it, right? Just always understand that no one's better than you and you're not better than anyone else. The people that you're going to be talking to were in the same position as you at one point, and you have the advantage that you know your work better than them. So just have confidence when you're talking to them. You belong in the room. You deserve that PhD. And so don't be intimidated by it. Or pretend you're a communist. Yeah. I'm doing pretty good tonight. Or don't fuck it up. That's also good advice. Triple X. See, I had all those cheap words, and Triple X is just like, yeah, don't fuck up. There you go. It all good. All good advice. So, yeah. So we'll be looking for super chats tonight. I would appreciate all of you that could donate. Those of you that can't, that's fine too. Even if we get $0 tonight, we're still going to do a show, baby. We're still going to have fun. Even if I'm yelling and screaming, which I may be. I don't know. I'm trying to be more measured tonight. I'm going to try my best. So, tax credit on Windows. All right. You know, the topic for tonight's show, unless you've been under a rock, you probably know. Did Trump cave in? That's it. That's going to be the topic of tonight's show. What do you guys think? So just to outline, let's see if we could pull up some of Trump's statements. We'll start there. Then, of course, there's the idea that Bovino was demoted, promoted, moved out. We'll talk about that. So to start with, I think people's primary focus are actually in the wrong place, in my opinion, with this. I think people are focused on Bovino, and I don't necessarily myself. I think there's significance in Bovino, but I don't really think that's the issue here. That's not where I have cause for concern. Now, Bovino was basically the guy that was the acting head of CBP. And He's been let go. All right, let me rephrase this. There are reports that he has been promoted / demoted. He's being moved out of the area. Tom Homan's coming in. And the reporting, and I believe this is most likely the truth, is that he's sort of on the outs with Kristi Noem. And I actually don't mind that. I'm not the biggest Kristi Noem fan. And apparently Bovino is Kristi Noem's man. That's, her guy. Now, Bovino and Noem both were saying some shit that I think was just incorrect and stupefying. Kosh Patel as well has been saying some dumb shit. Yes, you're allowed to take a gun to a protest. No, I didn't see evidence that Preddy was there to massacre ICE agents. I didn't see that. I think that being hyperbolic like that, I understand the impetus, but you don't have to be hyperbolic or stretch the truth in that sort of way. All you have to do is tell the truth. The facts are on your side. So let's assume, Super Chat, thanks so much, On Fire for $10 says, his move on from Bovino was who was effective. Not sure which strength that shows. Use this to help fix your windows. Thank you. I will. Yeah, let's assume, let's, for the sake of argument, say that's true. Bovino was effective, but his rhetoric here was not helping matters. Let's assume that's the case. Right? I can see the case for saying, look, we're going to switch these two out for Tom Homan. But I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. Right? It's like, for me, if we get fire and brimstone Tom Homan and he's just replacing Bovino, I do think that it possibly signifies a slight weakness that people could say. And it's not Bongino. Am I pronouncing it? Is it Bovino? You guys, I'm not talking about Dan Bongino. I'm talking about this guy. Bovino. Bovino. He was the acting head of Border Patrol in Minnesota. He was in task. Him. That's who I'm talking about. So not to get confused with Dan Bongino. I see a couple people were. So I would say that on that record, it's not that. Necessarily the worst thing in the world. And that's where everyone's focused. Everyone's focused on, he's getting rid of Bovino. And that's where the trouble. That to me is not the focus that I have, that I think is potentially worrying. Because you could say, well, how do you know? Replacing Bovino and by extension Kristi Noem for Tom Homan could actually lead to a more aggressive posture, more deportations. Could. It could. But it's the other thing that's the issue. It's his messaging about his phone calls to Tim Walz and Frey. And when you take this in conjunction with what he said the other day about, I'm trying to find the quote. If someone has the quote, if you DM me on Discord, the quote the other day where Trump was talking about basically some illegals that need to stay. When you take those two things in conjunction, it could paint a very troubling picture. So let's start looking at Trump's quotes with his alleged calls with Tim Walz and Mayor Frey. Trump says, Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be in a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that we were looking for any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We've had such tremendous success in D.C., Memphis, and New Orleans, and virtually every other place that we have touched. And even in Minnesota, crime is way down. But both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. Trump. Wow, Tim Walz sounds like a cool guy, man. He sounds pretty cool. Man, there's a real patriot that wants to help out the area and help work with ICE, right? That's the impression I'm getting there. Tim Walz is beast. Mayor Frey. Just had a very good telephone conversation with Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis. Lots of progress being made. Tom Homan will be meeting with him tomorrow in order to continue the discussion. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump. Wow, Mayor Frey sounds cool. Sounds like a cool guy. Those are cool guys. They seem really geared up to cooperate with ICE. Awesome, right? Thank gosh there's base people that are running Minnesota that want to cooperate with ICE. Yeah, they might leave Trump into the Signal group chat. Pretty cool. Now take that in conjunction to Trump saying the other day, oh, we're just trying to, just the bad criminals. Just the bad criminals. That's all we're trying to get. All of a sudden, a picture starts to develop on. Now I'm going to give it to you on both scenarios of how this could be good for Trump and could be bad for Trump. And I want to say right now, by no means do I have 100% confidence either way. I don't. It's too early to see. The reporting of like what's going on with Kristi, Noem, and Bovino, etc. It's all like unnamed sources shit, so who knows? Right? And then as far as what level of cooperation will we see from Mayor Frey and Walz, etc.? Was Trump negotiating from a position of strength? Was he negotiating from a position of weakness? All of these things could be left up in the air. And I'll admit, I don't know right now. But I'll tell you sort of bad Trump, good Trump, and then what I think is most likely. What I'm going to tell you is I'm not anywhere near 100% certain. I have my suspicions, and I admit that I'm biased because my suspicions, if you've been following me this week, confirm what I said was likely to occur. So that might, if you've watched me this week, you might say, you have a good guess on if I'm going to say that this is most likely Trump caving in or not. So let's start with this. I said that basically there is no draw in this situation. There's only one of two ways that this ends. Either Trump doubles down, refuses to give in to the left-wing domestic violence, continues mass deportations in Minnesota, and aggressively goes after the criminals that are trying to prevent him, including at the top levels, people that are involved in the funding of them, people that are involved in the coordination, etc. That's step one. That's one way that it could end. This may involve declaring the Insurrection Act, large FBI investigations, perhaps a special counsel or something. Could involve those sorts of things. Or option two would be that Trump backs down and he tries to save face. And that the lesson is learned once more, and this time to remove all doubt that in the Trump administration, even administration 2, he will back down from violence. He will. that using political violence is an effective strategy for the left against this administration, and that they could change policy by their use of political violence. That they, in effect, have the heckler's veto. That we no longer have a country that operates based on the laws of what the voters want, that voted for Donald Trump. We have a country that the most violent of us get to decide what the rules are. And if that's true under a Trump administration, it's probably likely to be true in perpetuity for the future. And that's it. That's the only two ways I see out of this. And you can say, well, maybe there's a third option where both sides kind of break even. No, a break-even situation's a victory. A negotiation with terrorists is a victory for the terrorist. That's it. It's that simple. Any pulling back or maintaining of the status quo by Trump is a victory for the left-wing violent agitators. That's it. He can try to save face. You could have 1 million people tell you, no, it's strategic. This is why it's good. It's a loss because at this point, the most important thing is stamping out the violence. We see the lengths they're willing to go. We see it all throughout the second Trump administration. We saw it during the first Trump administration. At some point, someone in a position of leadership in this country has to stand up and say, fuck you, no. We will not give in to violent left-wingers. At some point, that must happen. It's accelerating. It's only going to get worse in the future now. They understand now. This works. There are no negative consequences. They understand. 2 assassination attempts against Trump. No real negative consequences. Charlie Kirk assassinated. No real negative consequence. Riots in LA. No real negative consequence. Riots in Minnesota. No real negative consequence. Riots in Portland. No real negative consequence. Why would they stop? Why would they stop? What's the incentive for them to stop? Just from a LARPing point of view and the power to go out and do whatever the fuck you want and beat the shit out of people that you think are Nazis. They'll get a handful of people, they'll wag their finger at them, and a local jury will give them a slap on the wrist, and away they go. Hell, you might get millions of dollars in a settlement like some of the Black Lives Matter people. That's why, to me, I want all the illegals deported. That's my starting position. But I have to be honest. And maybe this will be controversial. I don't think that's the most important thing in Minnesota right now. I don't. I still want that. But it's secondary. To me, the most important thing is to crush these violent lefties. To crush them. To arrest them. Public displays, their images emblazoned as they're handcuffed. Their crimes shown to the American people, facing the maximum possible consequence every step of the way. Investigate everyone. Collect their records. If there's connections to Democratic Congress people, go after them too. Mayors, governors, go after them too. That's the most important thing. Believe it or not, that has more direct, dire implications than even illegal immigration. And if that does not happen, and if Trump backs down and has some sort of agreement that avoids that, then he has caved in. Now, I'm not saying, I think it's too early to say what the case is. I have my suspicions. But let's say why this could be a positive for Trump. I think most reasonable people would say some of the comments of Kristi, Noem, and Bovino were reckless. I think that. I still think it's pearl clutching to be super upset about that, while at the same time we see these violent left-wingers. Yeah. I mean, I was going to wait to fight with the chat, but I mean, this is just. Yeah, you're right, man. We shouldn't go after the violent left-wing rioters because they'll slip through our fingers. What's a good alternative? Why don't we send them all millions of dollars? That would be a good alternative. Hey guys, you know those violent left-wingers that are getting their way, attacking law enforcement all across the country? Unfortunately, we can't go after them because if we do, that's tightening our grip and they'll slip through our fingers. So instead, let them go with impunity. Great plan. I mean, I guess you're right. You don't have to worry about them slipping through in your fingers when you're picking them up in the palm of your hand and placing them wherever they want. I suppose, yes, that solves the problem of slipping through fingers. Anyways, we'll get to arguing with the chat later because I'll have a lot to say with people in the chat. But so there's the part about Noem and Bovino, and we also don't know exactly what's going on there. It could literally just be, hey, it's time for a change of scenery. Phase 2 now. Bovino, you're out. We're sending you to Wisconsin, or we're sending you back to Texas. You're going to take care of business there. We're going to put Tom Homan here, and we're going to start aggressively going after people in the same way we are. Except this time, there's a negotiation with Frey and Walz, and it's like, here's the deal. We're going to send more and more people in. We ain't leaving unless you agree to cooperate. And what that's going to look like is we're going to continue our operations here in the way we see fit. You're going to have your police departments provide backup for us in the sense that if someone comes in as a violent rioter, that you're going to protect us from them. If not, we're going to bring back Bovino and Border Patrol. That's what we're going to do. In addition to that, you're going to cooperate because the people in your jails that we want and have retainers on that are violent criminals, we want access to them. Now, it's possible that this is the case. And then behind the scenes, Trump's like, sure, I'll play nice with Tim Walz. Sure, I'll play nice with Mayor Frey, but we're still going to aggressively go after all the people that were violent on the left. We're still going to look into this signal business. We're going to see if it has connections to the mayor's office or the governor's office. It's possible. It's absolutely within the realm of possibility. In that case, the lesson learned is Frey and Walz were broken. The deportation numbers continue or increase, and they're now cooperating with the ones in jails. Lesson learned to the violent lefties, we will not back down. It's possible. Of course, the other end of this is that there are people in Trump's ears saying it's time to de-escalate. There are Republicans. There are centrists. There are donors. There are people on Trump's team saying we need to de-escalate. He thinks that Bovino and Noem have inflamed the situation, so he removes them. He puts in Tom Homan. His previous statements about actually there's some good illegals is now massaged into that's all we ever wanted in the first place. Walz and Frey basically do nothing different. Maybe there's 2 or 3 prisoners or whatever that are considered violent, some small number. They hand him over. Frey and Walz were like, we would have done that anyways. And then Trump declares victory. And then they basically leave. And there's no real investigation into the Signal group chats. And no one in Frey or Walz's administration pays a price. And Trump gets to say, we broke them. It was really just about the bad hombres. And we got them. We got the bad hombres. So now we can pull out. And the left looks at that and they say, yeah, that's a victory for us totally. We didn't want ICE here. We didn't want Border Patrol here. We rioted. We got the national media on our side. Polls started to suggest it was bad for Trump. He backed down. So now in every other state where ICE is doing operations, run the same playbook. If we could trigger a violent confrontation with ICE, then we know that we could control public perception, and that will mean that Trump will back down every single time. And they will escalate those violent tendencies. That's what a loss looks like. That's a distinct possibility. Even if you're heavily optimistic on Trump, can we all agree that's a possibility? Forget whether how likely you think. Would you agree those are the two possibilities? That seems to be the two possibilities. Now, the way I put this on X, because I know right now there's a big, all the commentators are disagreeing. Is this Trump caving in? Is this not? All right, let's be diplomatic for a second. Can we at least agree upon this, all of you watching, regardless of what side of this you're on? Either you think, if it's assuming you're a Trump supporter, either you think this is good, this is Minnesota backing down, it's Walz backing down, Trump's a masterful negotiator, this is good, or this is bad, this is Trump caving in. Can we agree to this? What does that look like? How will we know? How will we know if this was Trump caving in, or if this was Frey and Walz caving in and the left losing? How would we know? Right? Because we could argue what we think is likely to occur, but at some point we'll be looking at it. So what would it look like? If Trump won, what would that look like? If Trump lost, what would that look like? Well, here's how I put it. We'll see if you all agree. Lots of mixed message and commentary about Trump's next steps in Minnesota, perhaps backing down, perhaps go to victory. Who knows what will happen? And I understand differing opinions. Can we at least agree on this? If whatever happens leads to less immigration enforcement in Minnesota, and if serious arrests aren't made against the violent attackers of ICE and their organization, then that would qualify as Trump backing down. Can we agree on that? If it ends up with less deportations in Minnesota, and if there's no serious effort or ability to charge the violent left-wingers, the signal groups, etc., then no matter what, you could say, no, that Trump won't back down, whatever. You would have to admit that Trump backed down then. If the deportations increase, if we see mass investigations and arrests, not one or two people, but mass amounts, including people that are supporting financially and government, media, etc., of the people orchestrating these obstructions, then I would say that's a victory. Does anyone disagree with that? Now, you could say there could be bigger victories. It could lead directly to Walz being jailed. We could find out that the 2020 election was stolen, etc., etc. But that, to me, would be what I would suggest is the base level for victory or defeat here. Does anyone disagree? I think that's reasonable. I hope most people agree. All right. So the rest of this is me saying, well, this is what I think's likely to happen. It's sort of irrelevant in that it's just a prediction. I've been wrong before. Certainly true. So it's just my prediction. But now we know what to objectively look at, because I'll tell you this much. There's a lot of Trump haters, like conservative Trump haters, that if that comes to light, that we up the amount of deportations in Minnesota after today, and if there is serious efforts, of course you could disagree on what that looks like, but they're seriously going after the obstructionist on the signal chats, the financiers, they'll still say, nah, it's a failure. I disagree. I think that would objectively be evidence that this was a move forward. We're advancing the ball, even if it's not perfect. There's a lot of Trump defenders that even if this results in far less deportations in Minnesota and them leaving the streets and no one really faces consequences for the obstruction, they'll still say, no, this is 4D chess. It was a win. Can we agree then? That's the objective metric that we're going to look at. That's what I'm going to look at going forward, just to let you know. So 2 weeks from now, when we revisit this, that's what I'll be looking at. I'll say, okay, what's the picture on the ground look like? We all made our predictions. Now let's see. That's it. That's all I'm suggesting here. All of us have opinions on whether or not this will be a failure or this will be a success. Now we basically, at least I'm giving you how I'll agree, how I'll try to objectively measure that. Right? I think that's fair. Now I'll give my prediction. I would say there's a far better chance than not that Trump's caving in. That's my prediction. I think this is what we're going to see. And I predicted this. I said Trump's going to back down. He will. And I think that's actually what's happening. I think it started when you heard Trump signaling, in fact, much earlier. Wait. You remember there was this whole thing earlier in the year, towards the beginning, like towards the end of the first quarter of his first term, right? Where it was the first time that there was messaging. Oh, I talked to some people in the farm lobby, and they said that a lot of these illegals are good and that we can't get rid of them or they have to bring in worse people. You remember that? And then immediately, like, J.D. Vance came out and was like, no. And then it seemed like that actually was going to be the policy. And then Trump said again there a couple months ago, I was at a battery factory in South Carolina, and we had these illegals working there, and they're great people. And then he said here just a couple days ago, he said the same thing. I think it's time to face facts. Mass deportations are not Trump's agenda. I think Trump's agenda is getting rid of, quote, the worst of the worst. Now, a lot of people say that's good. That's okay. In fact, a lot of my libertarian friends think, yeah, there's no need to deport Abuela. Remember I had these debates with people. Why worry about Abuela? She's just cooking. She hasn't done anything. She's been here for years. That's true. There's a lot of people's opinions. And let's be honest, Trump voters were a big coalition. You had the Make America Healthy Again people, the RFK people. You had the sort of Tulsi Gabbard people. You have me, like the populist, sort of domestic agenda first, less interventionist. You have the neocons. Some of them voted for Trump. Your Lindsey Graham types of the world. You have the Christian conservatives. You have fiscal conservatives. You have former left-wingers that are just disenfranchised with the Democratic Party. So it's a big group of people. I think that Trump sends mixed messaging. Take an issue like Ukraine. Was Trump going to send more money to Ukraine or not? What was his campaign promise? I don't know, man. I followed his campaign heavily, and he was very vague about it. Right? So I think there's a case to be made. Some people could say, look, Trump never said he's going to deport each and every illegal. But I think it's clear that was his implication. And let me rephrase. Not that we thought he would deport every single illegal, but that all of them should be deported and were on the table. But if he had to negotiate to just get like 80 to 90% out, fine, we could live with that. I think that's basically where most people were. I could be wrong. That's where I think it was. Net negative migration, of course. Yeah, we'll get to that. Christian conservatives voting for Trump isn't wild because he's a non-believer. Why would that be wild? As a Christian, would I want to vote for someone who is actively anti-Christian or someone who claims to be a Christian, claims to support Christians, but basically non-practicing? I'd certainly choose the latter. So, I think that was the beginning signs. Well, that's not even really the beginning signs. If we go even a step back further for Trump, I think the signs were there beforehand. I think Trump's first administration showed the writing on the wall. Trump ain't going to drain the swamp. How do I know that? Because he didn't. And not only didn't he actively put people in to entrench the swamp. That's true. You don't appoint John Bolton to drain the swamp. You don't appoint Bill Barr to drain the swamp. That's what he did. And predictably, there was no draining of the swamp. So going into the primary, there were three options that I saw that had a chance to win the Republican primary. Now, it's sort of funny to say that because actually there was only one option. It was Trump. He was going to win unless he chose not to run. But the only other two with even a remote prayer were Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek was my top choice, and that's because I was basically a single-issue voter. Getting rid of corruption in our intel and law enforcement agencies, starting with the FBI. And Vivek said, I'll disband the FBI. And he had a plan to shrink the federal workforce 75%. I thought that was good. Now, Vivek's since gone down mightily in my vision. I still don't hate the man, but it is clear that Vivek is someone, despite what he would have you believe, that is very interested in supporting people of his Indian heritage. And he views America as just a big machine that churns out GDP. And all of you are just cogs in that machine. So there you go. My first choice, I'm admitting, sucks ass. And I would never try to vote for him again in a primary. Ron DeSantis, better. Oh, so anyways, the selling point for me for Vivek was he was saying the right things. But the downside was he's smart enough to be a bullshitter. And he's new to a lot of these ideas. So is he bullshitting me? Probably. That was the downside to Vivek. Ron DeSantis, upside, I think good Ron DeSantis is awesome. I think as a governor, he's doing a fantastic job. The problem with DeSantis was, and this matters, his charisma. And so whether or not that would help his chances to win a general election, because you got to be able to win. And then he surrounded himself with kind of shitty, never Trump people, which I saw as basically a return to the old way of the Republican Party. And so the struggle with DeSantis would be, can he overcome that? Can he become the man that's governor and overlook the people that are involved with his campaign? I don't know. But that's why I put him ahead of Trump. And then with Trump, his downside was his upside. First downside was all of the extra baggage that came with Trump. But the upside to that's also that baggage is what a lot of people like. His foibles, his personal attitude. There's people who crawl over broken glass for that wouldn't do so for DeSantis and Vivek. But the other downside was Trump had the chance to drain the swamp and he didn't. So why should I give him a second chance? But that was actually the upside. And when you talk to people, that's what they said. Because he's learned. This time he's learned. Now he's pissed because he saw how they came after him with the lawfare. It's a compelling argument. This time it'll be different. Maybe so. That's why Trump was my third pick. I was like, oh. So when Trump won the nominee, of course, I was all in. All behind Trump. Still like Trump. Don't get me wrong. I liked all three of those options. Still like Trump. But I'd said if he wins the election, there's probably about a 5% chance that he actually does anything to effectively drain the swamp. And so I'm not shocked that we're probably unlikely to see that. That doesn't mean that I should be unhappy with my vote. He's markedly better than Kamala Harris, of course. But that's where so the signs were there. So big country-changing issues like completely revamping the FBI or dismantling it, or holding accountable the criminals in Washington, or mass deportations, probably unlikely to happen. So then, once you see him saying, well, maybe some of these illegals are good. Okay, the writing's on the wall. Secure the border, did a great job with that. Of course, I'm not going to talk about Doge and all the other stuff. We're just talking about this stuff. So he secured the border, but the deportations have been decent We have net negative migration, which is not bad, but it's nowhere near the level we would need it to be. Now, let's pause for a second. If we ended up to like 150,000, I think the number's around there in his first year, negative migration. So the amount of people we've deported overweighing the amount of people that have came in the country. That's the first time that's happened in many, many years. You might say that's good, and it is. But the problem is we don't have time. We don't have time. We just left in 10 million people in the last 4 years. Trump or his heirs, let's assume they would agree with him and do the same thing, they're not going to win in perpetuity. Eventually, they're going to lose. So if you're lowering migration 150,000 a year for 4 years, that basically gets you 600,000. As soon as Democrats get in office, they're going to bring in 3 million a year. You're losing that game. You're never going to catch up at all. So although it's positive, don't get me wrong, it is. I think that one area that you can't question Trump is the influx of people coming in. I think he's done a tremendous job of stemming the tide. But I think there's a lot to be desired on the actual amount of deportations. Now, to his credit, he's being fought every turn, tooth and nail. Activist courts, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party's no help to him. Sure. Media, everything, everyone, even if he only deported one person, they would act like he was the worst man in the world. But if we're just judging on results, that's where we're at with Trump. So, the other thing that we need to look at when it comes to this particular situation is the George Floyd riots. Trump backed down over the George Floyd riots. It's over, right? There's not going to be mass arrest of the people that organized the George Floyd riots. It's over. The incident's done. They got away with it. There'll be a handful of people that embezzled a bunch of money that they'll get, whatever. But as far as the general organizing the riots and participating in them, that's it. They got away with it. And it negatively affected Trump going into the 2020 election. And people like me felt like I was shouting at the heavens, why won't Republicans and why won't Trump send in the National Guard? Why won't they do something to stop these riots? And I knew the answer, because he was afraid that this would paint him as a strong man. And that's what the Democrats wanted. And so he backed down. And the results speak for themselves. The left gets away with it. They learned the lesson. And it really, I mean this, I honestly do mean this. No. You could say Trump's been aggressive foreign policy-wise, some of which is antithetical to what I believe. So that doesn't do much for my agenda. Trump's a roaring lion when it comes to foreign policy, and meek as a mouse when it comes to domestic. He'll challenge Iran. He'll challenge Maduro. He could stand up to Vladimir Putin. He could stand up to the leaders at Davos. But Mayor Frey and Tim Walz makes him piss his pants. That's Trump. Jazz hands Tim Walz. Too much for him to handle. If my prediction's correct. And so there was every reason in the world to believe that there was going to be riots. Every one of us knew that, right? They were going to riot when Trump won over something, and immigration was the most likely culprit, or Doge. And what would Trump do? And if you were a betting man, you'd say nothing. And guess what? You would have hit that bet, because he's done nothing. And my guess is that trend's going to continue. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I don't see it changing. I think they got Trump by the short and curlies. I think that Trump believes, whether it be because his advisors are telling him or because it's a gut, that he can't be seen as the domestic strongman. And so he must always back down when the left uses violence, that he cannot meet it head on. That will cost him in polling, and that will cost him other parts of his agenda. And it's just not worth it. And given that he's not really big on all of these mass deportations anyways, it was just something he ran on, and he just wants to do deportations of, quote, the worst of the worst, but he wants to leave a lot of illegals here. He doesn't view the fight as worth it to him. It's just not worth it. That's it. That's what I see. I think when you add it all up, it was inevitable that when the left rioted, that Trump would back down. It's what he did in the first term. He doesn't really believe in the cause against which they're rioting. And he thinks it'll hurt him. I don't think it was all political theater. But that's my belief. And so I think he's looking at this situation and he's like, all right, we can put on a tough facade. But what he doesn't realize, or maybe he does, that it inevitably was going to come to this. I'm more confident in my previous prediction than this prediction that Trump's caving in, by the way. I was very confident that the left was going to force violent altercations with ICE. And inevitably that would lead to the worst case scenario, which is someone lost their life, particularly one of the agitators or attackers of ICE. One of them would lose their life. And I'd said it won't matter if it's a legitimate shooting from ICE or illegitimate. The left's going to run with it. And they're going to use that as an excuse to say that Trump's a fascist and ICE is terrible and he's murdering people. And they're going to use that excuse to amp up the riots and that Trump would back down. And that's exactly what's happened. And so the last thing I'll say about that, I suspect that that's what this is. I suspect that he thinks, fuck, this looks bad. The polling showing it's bad. Negative impression of me, negative impression of ICE. And I think he thinks other shit's more important. I think he's a foreign policy man. I think Trump really does care about things like the Nobel Peace Prize. And not that prize specifically, but the idea that he's going to be seen as this great world figure. I think that matters to Trump. And I think the economy matters to Trump. And the stock market matters to Trump. And GDP matters to Trump. And I'm not saying those are necessarily a bad thing. But these aren't my top priorities. So I think Trump's probably like, listen, I'm going to do real good with the economy. I'm going to do real good with foreign policy. That's what I want the focus to be. So what do I have to do to get out of this quagmire of Minnesota? I can't just show weakness. I can't just be like, yes, we're turning tail. So I got to get something that I could hang my hat on and say, see, we actually won. By the way, this is the easiest prediction. Both the Democrats and Trump are going to declare victory no matter how the situation ends. But that's what Trump needs. He needs something that he can say, I got something. And the Democrats in this are going to win the exchange, in my point, because what they want is ICE the fuck out of their communities and people to not be deported. They're willing to give up a handful of violent people that are illegals. Sure, whatever. If it means ICE leaves. And they could say, we did it. We fought. We beat the evil tyrant. We beat the evil mustache man. Orange man bad, and we defeated him. That's what they want to say. And so Trump's going to say, judge me on foreign policy, judge me on the economy. And now here's the thing. Here's the most depressing part of all of that. And I'll spoil it and say Trump's right about this. You ready? You know how, like, I make this argument to like a lot of black Americans that are reliably Democrat. I'm like, you see, the Democrats don't give a shit about you anymore because they know you're going to vote for them. So they don't give a shit. Your priorities don't matter. Whatever. You're going to vote for us. You're not going to vote for those racist Republicans. Meanwhile, we'll focus on illegals. We'll focus on LGBT issues. And black people are like, what about our issues? No one gives a shit. You're going to vote Democrat no matter what. So why would anyone care what you think? That's Trump's argument to people like me. What are you going to do, Rob? Vote Democrat? You going to abstain and let the Democrats come in office? Sure, I might not be doing everything you want, but the Democrats are going to actively come after you. They're going to open the border. They're going to censor you. They're going to try to lock up people like you. So you're going to vote for me. So I don't have to worry about that. You're going to vote for the Republicans. We're worried about shoring up our corporate lobbyist friends, our billionaire friends, our neocon friends. Those are the people that will vote for the other party. They don't give a shit. So that's where our priorities will be. You know what's funny? Trump's right. He is absolutely right. I ain't going to vote for Democrats. I'm not going to abstain. I'm going to vote for Republicans unless it's a unique Republican that I hate. Thanks for the raid, Tyler. Appreciate it. It's too late to let him win. Can we handle letting in another 10 million people and censoring us and finally putting in their disinformation board and packing the Supreme Court and ending the filibuster? Can we survive that? What if Trump is increasing the economy? Isn't that a reason to vote for him? What if his foreign policy victories are good? I think that's where we're at. I think there's probably people like Steve Bannon and others that aren't the top people in Trump's ear. They're like, Trump, this is a huge fucking mistake what you're doing in Minnesota right now. It looks like you're caving in. You're going to embolden the lefties to use violence over and over again. And he's like, you know what, Steve? You people are going to vote for me anyways. You're going to vote for the candidates I want anyways. My people are telling me this is going to cost me the midterms. Of course, I think the irony is the opposite. I think he has more of a chance to lower enthusiasm of his base and lose the midterms for weakness. And I don't think that all of a sudden this will be like, oh, never mind. Do you think the left's going to come out and go, hey, you know what? Trump was only interested in getting the worst of the worst. And he got rid of Bovino and Noem. So yeah, he's a cool guy. You think that's what they're going to say? Our mistake. It turns out he wasn't a fascist. Nah, I don't think they're going to say that. Bovino's not fired. He was promoted, demoted. By the way, let's talk about that. With Bovino, like, I think it's easy to see, if the reporting's accurate, what's going on. There's plausible deniability in here. Let's say I'm the supervisor at a company, right? Rob's a supervisor, and I'm running the day-to-day activities. And I fuck up. And the CEO's like, look, Rob, you're no longer a supervisor, but we're going to make you chairman of entertainment. And then if people ask, we'll say, that's a promotion. But in reality, we're unsatisfied with your work. So we're going to give you an honorary title and send you over here. But we'll say, oh, no, we didn't fire him. He wasn't demoted. We just changed his tasks. That's all. He was the guy in charge, and now he's not. Because he has these other super secret missions that he's up to. Of course, you won't see anything being done with that. That's what's going on with Bovino. It's a demotion. And of course, we talked about all this. Yes, perhaps the next guy will be tougher. That's why I said the focus on Bovino and Kristi Noem is not the focus. The focus should be on he's having real good conversations with Tim Walz and Mayor Frey. Oh, you mean those two that are basically encouraging violent riots? Yeah, I'm sure they're going to get to working with Trump to enforce immigration. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're chomping at the bit. Of course, again, the most important thing is, will the left-wing rioters be emboldened or will they be dealt with? Well, let's see how prominent left-wing figures are reacting to the news. Here's Gavin Newsom. Oh, sorry. About Bovino losing. Long past time. Everyone involved with this reign of terror, including Noem and Stephen Miller, needs to be fired. Victory lap for Gavin Newsom. Nice. Tim Walz puts out, never been prouder to be a Minnesotan. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's very proud today. A man that quite reasonably could have been facing prosecution for involving himself in some ways in violence, possibly. Now he's going to cooperate with Trump. Everything's going to smooth. Trump's going to back down. I don't know who put this one to the left. He says, Trump is backing down. Take a bow, Minnesota. Newsom said more stuff about this is a victory. And they're right. That's what it looks like. From the outside, this looks like a victory. It does. It looks like we beat the evil tyrant. He's backing down. The troops are going home. We did it. I know. We're going to get a lot of comments like this. I'm seeing them in the chat. Barbie's in over her head. This is a good thing. What if Trump plays the Uno reverse card? Again, yes. I'm saying that this is just my prediction. I outlined the case. You could go back and previously watch earlier in the video where I outlined the case, said this could be good. It absolutely could be. That's great if it is. How will we decide if it was good or not? We will know if they increase the amount of deportations in Minnesota and if they aggressively go after the people that are instructing and committing these violent crimes against ICE, including the financiers, the people on the Signal chat, the people in the media, the people in government, etc. If those things don't happen and Trump pulls out some of his officers, then he has lost. He is backed down. You could say, but he didn't back down 100%. It won't matter because then the most important thing is the terrorists won. They got some sort of victory. And that means as we get warmer out, you're going to see them increase these tactics in Chicago, in New York, in Atlanta, in Philadelphia, in DC, in LA, in San Francisco, in Seattle, in Portland. That's what you're going to see. Now, you might say, but Rob, what if you're wrong? I would love to be wrong. Absolutely. And I'm admitting, I don't know for sure. It's still early. It certainly is. These news are just coming out today. Then that's a loss. This is a loss. If Homan makes ICE less aggressive, then the terrorists have won. The lesson is, if ICE is aggressive, then we get more violent and they will back off and get less aggressive. That is a loss. And that will be what ends this country. We are rapidly escalating further and further to the left is able to change policy by using violence with impunity. And if that continues and isn't stopped, it will get worse and worse and worse. That's why I specifically said, how will we know if this was good or not? And this is what I came up with. Lots of mixed messaging and commentary about Trump's next step in Minnesota, perhaps backing down, perhaps got a victory. Who knows what will happen? I understand different opinions. Can we at least agree on this? If whatever happens in Minnesota leads to less immigration enforcement, and if serious arrests aren't made against the violent attackers of ICE and their organization, then that would qualify as Trump backing down. So in my opinion, a, quote, less aggressive enforcement means the terrorist won. Yes, if it leads to ICE not arresting as many people, and you say, well, formerly they got 100 off the streets, but now they could get 80 in jails. Yes, that is a loss because that allows the left to say our violence worked. We got ICE off of the streets. Now they're deporting less people. That is a victory for the violent left. He should have declared the Insurrection Act. He didn't. I gave what would be my solution to this. Let's say I was Kristi Noem, or in her position at DHS. Thank you for all being here. This week's been a trying time for everyone in this country, and particularly in the state of Minnesota. Tragically, 2 people have lost their lives in situations involving immigration enforcement. Although we could debate on whether or not there was fault for people around the situation, what the exact situation of the officers involved should have been, the real message here is it's tragic that people have lost their life. It's tragic that ICE officers, noble, great people, are under constant attack, are under a constant microscope, and people in positions of power continue to demonize them. They're under threat, their families are under threat, their future's under threat. But let's not kid ourselves. It's also tragic that people have been gaslit into going out in the streets and thinking these are the new Gestapo and they need to be obstructed and fought. And it's tragic this leads to violence and intimidation being used to prevent legitimate law enforcement from occurring. And it means that these people that have entered our country illegally cannot be removed. Some of these people are the worst of the worst that have done incredibly heinous things to children, to women, to people all across this great country. We will not back down. As people in the Democratic Party and their sympathizers in the media, online, in politics, continue to demonize ICE and make violent confrontations inevitable, we make this promise. We will treat every altercation between ICE, Border Patrol, and people that are protesting or engaging in violence against them with the utmost sincerity and scrupulousness. And we will investigate and make sure that we're getting to the bottom of this. But know this, we will not back down. We will not give in to violence and terrorism. Each time there is an altercation between ICE, between Border Patrol, and violent agitators, we are making a commitment to increase the number of agents that we bring to this state. Every time that we see these actions, we will double down. We will bring more officers here, and we will have more deportations. The United States has a great history of not negotiating with terrorists. When we look across the world through the history of our country, we did not leave strong men intimidate us through acts of violence and intimidation. And we'll be damned if we allow that to occur back home. It is time for the Democrats and their allies to stop demonizing ICE and to stop encouraging people to commit acts of obstruction and violence against the great people of our border protection. That's what I would have said. But instead we got, you can't bring a gun to a protest, huh? He was trying to massacre ICE agents, huh? Now it seems like we got Trump being like, Mayor Frey's a cool guy. Tim Walz is a cool guy. We're going to cooperate. Okay. And as a predictable result, violence will increase. That's where we're at. That's my prediction. Now, I could be totally wrong. I've been wrong before. But that's my prediction. Is Trump backing down because of the midterms? Well, I sort of already answered this question. I think Trump's backing down because he never prioritizing removing all of these people. And he thinks this will hurt his chance to have his agenda passed, yes, including in the midterms. And his agenda is more foreign policy oriented and economically oriented. And so he's afraid because he's being told that this will hurt his polling numbers and his popularity. Now, I'm going to say something. I want to preface this by saying I've had a history, never once that I know of, have I called for people to break the law on this channel. Never once have I called for people to commit acts of political violence. Ever. I've been one of the most staunch commentators against all forms of political violence that I know. Now, I know that what I'm about to say is going to be clipped out of context. And I want to be clear, I bring up my past record so that you know I'm sincere when I say this. This is not something I'm advocating for. Nor would this work. So I just want to be clear. This is not something I am advocating for. But one must ask, if ICE starts to pull out and we riot against ICE, will they then enforce the law? Is that what matters to Trump? He'll back down from violence? So I guess maybe we should use violence? Is that the lesson? Because it seems that he cares less about his constituents and more about backing down from violence. Of course it won't work, because right-wingers will be harshly cracked down upon, even by the Trump administration. Certainly the left would harshly crack down. And it's not moral, and it would be very unstrategic for the right. But it's so tragic to look at it like that, right? Geez, if only we had no scruples and had institutional backing and our people would get on juries and nullify them, then I guess we could get our way through violence too, including with this administration. It is that we have to be principled. But it's more than that. Of course we should be principled to a degree. There's certain principles that we should not forego. But the right doesn't get to use violence like that. It just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't. We had one day of it, January 6th, and you see the results of that. Not only were there people harshly punished, including those that didn't engage in violence, but they used that as a rallying point for their political agenda for 4 years. Still using it. So, of course, violence morally isn't the answer. But if I can't convince you of the moral, strategically, it's not the answer. They'll crush you immediately. But imagine, right now, is there any now, if you're a left-winger right now, let's assume you're a left-winger and you don't have these sort of scruples or this sort of morality, You know, if you engage in violence, Trump's backing down. You know it, right? All you got to do is get enough people to engage in violence. It's going to work. Fuck, they even attempted to assassinate Trump twice and nothing really came of it. Nothing really came of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Nothing really came of the Antifa people that were trying to assassinate ICE in like March or April. Nothing came of the left-winger that was shooting at ICE and killed 2 detained people. Nothing came of the mass vehicle usage and attacking of ICE. Nothing. No Insurrection Act. No mass investigation to who's organizing these things. Nothing. Nothing's came of any of it. Nothing. They could directly go after Trump with the violence. Still nothing. We locked up the one guy. That's it. Trust us. End of story. What an amazing feeling. What an amazing feeling to know that you have the ultimate power to control the direction of this country just by rioting. That's it. You already had institutional advantages, right? Mainstream media, Silicon Valley until roughly this last election. Now it's maybe 50-50. Social media, entertainment industry, academia. He had huge institutional advantages in winning elections. But amazingly, even if all of that fails, you still got the Trump card. You can just engage in violence and get what you want. You could beat Trump people with near immunity. You could riot in cities and loot near immunity. Sometimes you get caught, you get paid by the government. Yes, there was one they will charge one person for shooting Charlie Kirk. The left successfully took one of the most important players off the board, and with 2 weeks, made a lefty and Jimmy Kimmel the victim of that. That's what I mean about nothing happened. It worked. For that one person that likely will spend the rest of his life in jail, you might say maybe it wasn't worth it for him, but for everyone else in the left, it was worth it. Maybe it wasn't worth it for Renee Good, that she's dead, but for everyone else on the left, it was worth it. Maybe it wasn't worth it for Preddy, who's dead, Alex Preddy, but for everyone else on the left, it was worth it. The left. How about the globalist, the institutionalist? Now, again, this is just a prediction. All of this may end up being false. This might end up very good. Again, unnamed sources talking about a lot of this. Trump certainly in the past talked politely about foreign leaders. Certainly. So maybe this is, hey, he's playing nice right now, but they're going to bring the whip down on Mayor Frey and Tim Walz. So it's depressing. It really is. And listen, if you're someone out there that's like, well, Rob, come on, trust the plan, trust Trump. He'll get it done. Trust him. I wish I had your confidence. I don't know where it comes from. I didn't see any of the Russiagate people getting arrested. I didn't see any of the lawfare people really getting arrested. I didn't see like most of the Black Lives Matter people that rioted getting arrested. So where's this confidence coming from? I don't know. Maybe you're right. And you want to, dance a little jig when you say, "Ha, I told you, Rob." I'll say, "Great, I'm glad you're right. I'm glad to have been wrong." Look, all of this could be true, and Republicans still could win the midterms. Let me explain how. The news cycle's very quick. And to be quite honest, all of this shit, when it comes to just general, the best indicator, what do you think the best indicator, the best issue is to determine who's going to win the midterms? If you had to pick one issue, what would you say is the most important? Yeah, it's the economy, stupid, right? That's the old, Bill Clinton's right. It's the economy. If the economy's doing awesome, Republicans will win the midterms. If the economy's just okay or worse, then Republicans are going to lose the midterms. That's the best indicator. All of this other shit, you're talking about maybe 1% to 2% of the vote. It's going to be economic issues. That's the truth. Come November, people are going to be like, I don't know. Yeah, fuck. Maybe I'm pissed about the ICE thing. Maybe not. Yeah, the hardcore people on both sides that aren't going to change their vote, they're already going to be settled in on what they think about the ICE stuff. But the people you need, the people that are malleable, that may go one way or the other, their primary issue is going to be economics. Trump's job numbers are actually pretty good. And the job numbers aren't that important anyways. I agree with you that GDP is one of the most overestimated numbers. Job numbers are decent because although it doesn't look that great, we're losing a lot of government jobs and we're losing a lot of foreign-born worker jobs. All of the gains have been with people born in the United States and in the private sector. And real wage growth is up. Those issues are more important than just job numbers. And I think labor force participation is pretty good right now. Well, of course, the economy for who? Each person will make a decision based on how the economy looks for them. So, we shall see. Trump withdrew from the World Health Organization. When was that? Recently? Or is that something that happened a while ago? Good. World Health Organization's ass. Let's read some super chats. Now remember, we're having fun tonight regardless of the doom and gloom, right? Psycho Carrig, $5 says Trump's statements and actions don't always match. It's too early to tell. Switching Bovino with Homan allows to re-engage with a new tenor. Could be. John Locke was wrong. $5 says, when can we start talking about Trump not being on our side? He caves to the left and tells MAGA voters to not vote him. Yeah. I still don't believe that Trump was, quote, never on our side. I think Trump would like us. He just has different priorities. He don't think our priorities are as important. that want like all illegals deported or the swamp drain. Psycho Carrick, $5 says, harder to act domestically than abroad is POTUS. Trump is taking care of to have ducks in a row before acting at home. See his impressive SCOTUS record. Yeah. True and yet irrelevant in this case. He could continue to ramp up ICE's presence in Minnesota. He could declare the Insurrection Act. He's trying nothing. Triple X, $5 says, any deal with Walz is bending the knee to him. You don't negotiate with terrorists. Bat Fricker, $20 says, but Rob, if history's shown us anything, the leftists are always for the peaceful transfer of power. Of course. Lavin, $5 says, if Trump does cave, we'll have the likes of Fox News gaslighting the voter base that it's actually a Trump win and they'll buy into it. Yeah, we'll talk about that next. Davis Wood, $5 says, my incredulous opinion. Don't we all have them? Naughty Germ, thanks so much as always, man. $5. Triple X for 5 says, Republicans telling him to wait until after the midterms so they get tied up and not have anything to do with the deportations. Correct. Davis Wood, $5 says, I would vote for Trump every time. However, his ballroom exemplifies this issue. Yep. Scott Hotman, not one step back. He says, member for 10 months. Thank you for all 10 of them, my friend. Baxter Boy, $5. Thank you. Triple X, another 5 says, Rob, does fake press interviews while he's in the shower? No. I listen to shitty YouTube videos while I'm in the shower, like chess videos. Jordan Lofgren, $5 says, quick reminder that they do all this while simultaneously holding a worldview that entails that literally nothing matters. Yeah. Hunter Killer, $5 says, what was the point of staging the 11th Airborne just to say Walz is on the same wavelength? Maybe Walz is now. Maybe he's capitulated. I don't think so, but Forgotten Texas, $5 says, one of the best speeches, monologues made on the issue. Thank you for what you do. Not one step back. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Truth Revolt TV, $10 says, so why even bother playing by the rules? They know how to affect change, and we have our thumbs up our ass. I thought we were supposed to win, but it seems we never do. Well, it depends on what you mean by the rules. Look, there are certain things that I'm willing to be malleable on. For example, my politeness. I'm generally a very nice person, but I'm willing to admit, as I've been saying the past few days, that I need to harden my heart. But there are certain principles that I won't give up on. For example, I won't give up on not advocating for violence. I won't. I just won't. I won't give up on and suddenly tell people they should break the law. I'm not going to do that. I still have my morality to hang on to in that sense. But even if you say, I don't give a shit, fuck all that, my morality is malleable. Okay, the problem is strategically it won't help you. This is how so many of the people thought after January 6th. Yes, now we'll take it to the streets. We'll take it to state capitals. And I said, you fuckers are screwed, man. They're going to throw your ass in prison the rest of your life. We don't get away with it like the left. There aren't going to be sympathetic juries. They're going to throw away the fucking key, man. You're not going to see your family anymore. And for what? And you know what the tragedy is? Even beyond that, you could say, so what? I'm willing to sacrifice for my country. No, you're going to make it worse. Your actions will just cause a crackdown on the very issues that you're trying to show support for. The reason is because the globalists and the institutionalists have controlled our institutions for decades, and there is no quick fix. None. And so instead, what you need to do is motivate yourself to get more involved on a daily basis in the culture and in politics. I was talking to my good friend Zach Gelpy earlier today about this. You know how many people I talk to that'll say like big shit like, well, I'll tell you this much, I'd grab my musket, time to refresh the tree of liberty with the blood of tyrants. And I'm like, really, did you vote? Well, no. You involved in your local school board? Well, no. But you're willing to commit a grandiose act of violence? Whatever the reason may be. It could be because the agitators are paid, They're lied to. They know that they won't face any consequence. The truth is, they're far more motivated to get out there and affect change than we are. That's the truth. Yeah, but they're all getting paid. Yeah, but they know that they won't be arrested yet. Okay, I can concede all that. And they're still out there. They're out there. That's the truth. The average single mom with 2 abortions is more of a zealot, and has more zealotry to protect Somalians from being deported than you have and I have to protect our country. And that's the truth. Sorry, it's the truth. Maybe it's because we have families. We have things to live for. We're not miserable. But it is what it is. So, another super chat came in. Keep getting those super chats in. Trying to get to that goal tonight. Roy the Boy, $20, says, normies don't know or care about the ideological wars. It's all about getting a raise so they can watch more sports ball or HBO, or get a new car lease, or buy Disney World tickets. The economy is the biggest indicator for elections. Yeah, I agree. Jaxed, $10, thank you. Says, still waiting for my topless Rob calendar. This is the closest you get flesh-colored shirt. Thank you, man. Trams. Member for 3 months says, real question, favorite chess openings. When I'm white, see, I'm lazy. I'm a lazy chess player, right? And I don't want to research openings that much. So I've tried to pick openings that I think are playable almost all of the time. So when I'm white, I prefer the Jabava London. And that is bringing out my knight first. Then bringing up the queen size pawn 2 spaces. Then the knight opposite of it. And then bringing out the bishop. Those 3 moves. It's the Jabava London. It's basically a London, except your knight comes out on the opposite side. When I'm black, I like to play the advanced French pretty much every time. Now, I know it's not the best. For every opening, but I play it pretty much every time. I find that it usually gives myself a position to be at least close to even as black, so... But I consider these protests a counterinsurgency. It looks like the efforts going on behind the protest, not the protest per se, but the actual instructing of people to follow and obstruct ICE are. I do rap constantly. I definitely prefer white, though. I'm a bad enough chess player that being white really matters to me. Once you advance to higher levels, you could really, the advantage of getting moved first is less important, but... More super chats. Lunar Eclipse Reborn. I get that right? $5 says, shouldn't Bondi and Patel be fired if they don't clean up their act? Yes. PDFs from every 3-letter agency, even foreign, must be in cold dark cell. They miss over on Rumble? Oh, yes, we did. Bald ass! $5, thanks. Says, Rob, we're hoping for a government shutdown at the end of the month. Will Trump be able to make immigration moves at that point unimpeded? No. With the shutdown, I don't think that would affect his ability to make immigration moves. I think that, Republicans will probably cave and avoid a shutdown to some extent by giving a bunch of NGOs money and shit like that again. Matthew Clem, thanks so much. 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. I didn't see Trump as just a time waster. I didn't see that. I think Trump believes in a lot of what he says. It's just, he's so He has his priorities, and it's not ours. I don't think he's like controlled op or anything. Maybe he is, but I don't think that. Now, I promised I'd talk about this. There are people that are like, well, you're going to have, let's say this is a cave-in. You're going to have tons of Republican influencers that are like, this is a victory. You already see it. You already see it right now. To me, it looks like the hallmarks of a cave-in on Trump on this. And you already see so many right-wingers that are out there. No, how could you say this? This is a victory. Maybe they're right. I'll admit it's early. But even if it gets to the point where we realize, yeah, this was a cave-in, they'll still say, no, this is a victory. You'll likely hear them say something like this. Well, the real thing was, what was the status quo? Why are we told that Minneapolis was different? Why is Minnesota different? Well, they don't cooperate with ICE. Fair enough. That's the status quo. So we basically went to battle. We refuse to cooperate. Okay, we're coming in. Now this side, it's like we're going to use violence, and this side's pushing, so here we are. Now, if Trump's side starts to win, what you would expect is, now we're here. We're not back to the status quo negotiating position. We've advanced. Now we have more demands. But if Trump's like, nah, let's go back to the status quo, that's not a victory. It's not. In my opinion. That's what it was really about, not to me. It's not what it was about to me. Not to the violent left. If ICE gets the illegals at jails and prisons, what's the laws? How about all of the illegals that aren't at jails and prison get to walk free with impunity? How about the left gets to use violence to prevent ICE from patrolling the streets to arrest people, not just the violent prisoners, but also, as we're told they're doing right now, and I believe anyone that's with them, that even if it was nonviolent? So this leads to precipitously less people being deported. And that means that the violent actions of the left altered the policy in a way that was favorable to the left. Also, I strongly suspect that you will not see the cooperation. How do I know? Let's see what Mayor Frey said. So Trump's like, yeah, I talked to Frey. We're all good. We're on the same page. Okay. Let's see what he said. Maybe. Well, geez, I swore I heard this or read this, but now I'm not seeing it. All right, let's look this up. Why can't I find this? Here we go. Here's what Frey had to say. Or Frey, I'm sorry, I keep mispronouncing it. You ready? So Trump said, yeah, he's a cool guy. We're on the same page. Frey says, I spoke with President Trump today and appreciated the conversation. I expressed how much Minneapolis has benefited from our immigrant communities and was clear that my main ask is that Operation Metro Surge needs to end. The president agreed the situation can't continue. Great. Some federal agents will begin leaving tomorrow, and I will continue pushing for the rest involved to go. Minneapolis will continue to cooperate with state and federal enforcement on real criminal investigations. But we will not participate in unconstitutional arrest of our neighbors or enforce federal immigration law. Violent criminals should be held accountable based on the crimes they commit, not based on where they are from. I will continue working with all levels of government to keep our communities safe, keep crime down, and put Minneapolis residents first. I plan to meet the border czar, Tom Homan, tomorrow to further discuss the next step. See, he says, we're already cooperating, and we're just going to maintain the status quo. We'll keep cooperating, but they're going to start deporting now. They're going to start pulling out now. That seems a little different. That seems a little different than what Trump suggested. Trump said, oh, we're on the same page. Now they're going to leave us into the jails. That doesn't seem to be what Frey's saying. I guess we'll see. And I see people parsing saying, no, Trump said we'll go after illegals or criminals, and all of the illegals are criminals. No, it's clear from Trump's statement. What he's saying is like violent criminals, people that have other charges as well. No, it is true, Lobster, that both sides are going to claim victory, of course. But why should we accept Trump that his narrative is going to come out? We just take it on faith. This now, Mayor Frey and Tim Walz, the people that have been agitating against this, they're just going to totally cave in and capitulate. Yep. I have my doubts. Frey's a traitor. Trump thinks he's a cool guy. Trump's having cool phone calls with him. Traitor, huh? Jax becomes a member, then gives 5 memberships. $1 from Clayton Gordon, thanks. And Jax gives another membership. Thank you. Now, Sir William for $10 says Brian Shapiro sits down when he pees. So we have the right wingers that are going to say it's a victory no matter what. Now, the past couple days, I've been talking about people on the right that I see as a problem. They're like, well, maybe we need to de-escalate. Those people are why Trump's being told internally, time to change path. So ironically, you did it. You got what you wanted. Those that called for compassion, the Dave Smiths of the world, they're getting what they wanted. Backing down to left-wing terrorists. Because what happens is enough of you think that way, and then that becomes the public narrative. Then that is used by the people in Trump's ear that don't want the mass deportations anyways. And so Trump says, oh, okay, public perception's going against me, then I'll move on to a different direction. And so there you go. Your big compassion, these are the results. I don't know what to say. And it was predictable. Look, let's give Trump some benefit. It would take a very special person in a very special circumstance to beat this strategy. It is a damn near impossible strategy to beat. The board's rigged. The board's tilted after decades of institutional control over so many of these things that shape the narrative. Academia dominated. We've had 2 to 3 generations of kids being indoctrinated with this shit. You could fucking ram into ICE officers with the vehicle and you're going to be found not guilty, even if it's on cam in so many of these left-wing areas. You could bite the finger off fucking ICE agents and the media is going to ignore it and think you're a hero. No, it's not difficult to beat. Okay, let's hear your great advice. Go for it. Frying Pam Bondi and Kash Patel would be a step. Doesn't beat this system. There is a chance, no matter how effective Trump is, even if he had the best people and did everything right, it's still not going to win this. Because what they have is set up a situation that is guaranteed to lead to violent confrontations. They have institutional backing that shapes the narrative. And Americans don't have the spine that do what's necessary. Inevitably, when you see the crying little girl whose dad is being deported, when you see the left-wing agitator that gets shot and killed because they're fighting with ICE, and the American people go, oh, it's too much. What do you do? I don't know. Double down? Could. That's what I would do. And maybe the American people say, no, that's disgusting. We refuse to support that. What do? You might say, well, you have to start making incremental gains. Yeah. How much can you do in 4 years? How much can you do in 1 year? That's where we're at. I don't know. Now, that doesn't mean I'm still not going to point to the moves that I think Trump's screwing up at and say I give my opinion on him. But even if he did all the right moves, this strategy is immensely effective. Absolutely immensely effective. It's why, as we're reading today from that Green Beret, this is a strategy that insurgents around the world use. I don't know, SD guy. I don't know that, Bill. We've dug a great big hole in this country. And it's not so easy to just immediately jump out. You got to climb out. So it's okay to say, here are the mistakes I think Trump made. It might not come out that way, but it's okay. But I don't know that even if a perfect situation would have worked, Trump would have done all of the right moves. Now, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll end up working out. But my prediction was the American people don't have the stomach for it. That's my prediction. I think Dave Smith perfectly encapsulates sort of the bipolar attitude of the American people. Sure, we want deportations. We do. Yeah, we should absolutely enforce our borders. Oh my God, not like that though. There was a violent clash. Please, that's too much. And then the left goes, really? So you're saying if we make the violent clash inevitable, inevitably the American people will say it's too much. That's interesting. It's very interesting. So I see some of the people in here. G Nice, he was someone. Oh, G Nice, there he is in the chat. He's very much. Oh, you're bootlicker. Oh, statism. Blah blah blah. He said yes, he wants deportations. Yes, he wants them to stop if it leads to violent altercations. Here you go. What's the other option? If the left says whatever you do, we're gonna make the altercation violent. We're gonna say nope, we don't cooperate, and when you come in to apprehend people, we're gonna get violent. So if you're like, I want people deported, but if it results in a violent altercation, I want it to stop. What's the solution? I'm open to suggestions. What's the solution? Maybe they should just go after employers. Well, one, Republicans that would be necessary to sign on to that won't. And second, so what? Then the people just get violent there. And? All right, G Nice, show me once where I said it was a justified shooting. If you can't show that, you're banned again. Go ahead. Show me saying it was a justified shooting and Trump saying it was an unjustified shooting. Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll give you a minute and then you're banned. I won't tolerate big shit talkers that are continually, after watching me for hours and hours, misrepresenting me over and over again. I spent 2 days arguing about it. Show me where I said it was justified. Go ahead. Last chance. Now, the truth is, what I predicted exactly came true thanks to this attitude of people. Do you see it? And like, there are different levels of this, right? I know there are people in the chat. Do you see what I'm talking about? What's the matter? It looks like Trump's backing down. Left sets up the situation that makes violent altercations inevitable. People on the right, libertarians, etc., say anytime there's a violent altercation, we look at it with a microscope and heavily focus on that. If we think it's unjustified, we are heavily critical, and we say that this means that ICE can't keep doing their work. Thereby, 100% chance that ICE is unable to do their work. Yeah, that's right. That's the answer. What should we do then? Not this. Yep. That's it. That's what so many of these people that are like, yeah, I want our borders enforced, and that's it. I don't know what to say. How do you overcome that? The only chance that I can see overcoming it, if you start in the premise the left will lead to violent altercations over and over and over, and if they arise, the American people won't have the stomach for saying we have to continue these actions. The only way that you'd be able to solve that is with, I guess we'll have to develop like perfect robotic police that never make a mistake. That would be it. Other than that, inevitably, a human will make a mistake. There'll be human error. And that's it. All that needs to happen is one time and the entire project ends. Then the violence works. What's the downside for the people engaging in the violence? Yes, there is the downside if you are the one that gets shot. But other than that, there's no downside. Roy the boy, $10 says, normies also don't like riots. It interrupts their consuming. I think if Insurrection Act is used, it'll be forgotten about in a month. Kind of like the Maduro thing. That's my interpretation. That a swift taking down and exposing of the people that are engaged in the violence and ending the violence would actually mean that people would forget about it and move on, which would make future violence less likely. But Trump won't do it. Ryan Johnson, thanks so much, $50. Says, do you think we're dead in the water, Rob? I wouldn't entirely disagree. It's just so disheartening. I recently found my way back to God, and the country's dying as I find him. I need to know, I know I need to trust, but it's very hard and taxing. I don't think we're dead in the water. For example, let's say that my prediction comes true here, but let's say Trump loses the midterms, or let's say Trump has the economy humming along and we win the midterms. That doesn't mean we lose in perpetuity. We still could win in 2028, and even if we lose. One thing is, the left's agendas are so unpopular. We're in sort of a race against time. But there's still always time. At this point, if Trump's unwilling to do what's necessary, then we're biding time until hopefully the next person can. And we're making cultural moves. And we're primarying people, and we're trying our best to show that this is where we are as a movement. And if you're Christian, you know the answer. At the end of the day, you end up in the kingdom of heaven. Your family's more important. Your personal life's more important? We're not out of time. The clock's ticking, but we ain't out of time. If we're out of time, then it's over. What are we even talking about? It's already over. Then we're just nihilists. We're blackpilled. It's all over. It's too late now anyways. Of course we're not out of time. And someday, maybe objectively, we will be out of time. But I'll still keep fighting as if we're not. So, black pill not here, buddy. I'm still always the perpetual optimist. Pessimistic with my mind, but optimistic with my feet. I keep moving forward. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh, wow. Now, let me go to the restroom. I'll be right back. Be back.
Time to sneak in. What's up, stream? Did you say it's that time again? Chair? Did you say cue the music? I heard a chair. Everybody, did you hear cue the music? I think the dono bet. Yeah, dono. What? Yes, chair.
This
okay.
is the Robnoerr Show. It's not the Noer Rob Show. This is my favorite show because it is my show.
Yeah.
If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Robnoerr Show.
All right, chair. Fantastic. Woo!
What are you doing?
Oh no, he's coming back! I gotta stop it!
This is the Robnoerr Show. It's not the Noer Rob Show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Robnoerr Show.
I had to, Rob. Well, look at it. You're running off to the bathroom. I got to get my injections here. So, yeah, it's a fantastic show. I'm having a great time. Everyone, to the back.
Now, one of the things I talk a lot about is why, with Trump, one thing that I think's at least positive with him is he is somewhat malleable. He's not really an ideologue. And so sometimes you can push him in a certain direction. For example, bump stocks. So I think the people that are like, no, don't criticize, trust the plan, I think it's a mistake. I think there are a lot of people really pushing back today. Now, one of the things I said was it was early. A lot of the reporting was anonymous, etc. A lot of it came from Nick Sorter. So someone tagged me in this just now. This is from less than an hour ago. Nick Sorter was the one that was reporting that Bovino was out, and he says, breaking, following our report, President Trump has personally stepped in and saved Greg Bovino's role as Commander-at-Large of U.S. Border Patrol. My sources tell me Kristi Noem fully backs this decision. 8 million Americans voted for mass deportations, and we wholeheartedly want you to make it happen. Now, again, I think that this was the less important part of the story that people were focusing on. His conversations with Frey and Walz are more disturbing to me than the Bovino thing being changed. In my opinion. And so, I don't know that I'm like, oh, never mind. Now I changed my mind based. I'm not saying that. But you can see, I think that's probably, I think Trump's watching. And when he sees a lot of people, when he sees Steve Bannon, when he sees Mike Cernovich, when he sees a bunch of these people that he probably trusts or like at least have his best interest at heart. He's like, oh, wait. Sorter says, I can confirm President Trump was not aware of the prior decision to remove Greg Bovino from his role as Commander-Op-at-Large of the U.S. Border Patrol, nor was Secretary Noem. Trump and Noem fully back Bovino. And someone down the food champ, as we'll say, will have a rough week. Now, apparently there was the Phoenix metro area today. There were ICE raids. And within less than an hour, we had a lot of protesters showing up. Here's one video that we're seeing. Hopefully this is fun.
Get upset. Don't record the girls. They're going to call their dads. Nasty girls who love ICE and take photos with them. Oh, yeah.
You little fucking cunt! You little fucking cunt!
They're taking photos of my face so they can recognize me on social
Yeah,
media.
and everybody's gonna know you have a smelly little cunt!
There we go. Okay. And that's what happens when you support
Sir,
racist motherfuckers.
do you think that makes you right to scream at women and call them a cunt?
Bro, shut up.
Come back, sir. You were so brave to talk to those women. I'm trying to talk to you.
I'm not talking to the fucking people.
But I want to talk to you.
Get upset.
There you have it. Now, make no mistake, we're going to find out, and this isn't a bold prediction, there's already been reporting on this. We're going to find out that these signal channels that you see, these aren't just in Minneapolis. These are going to be the country over. There is an elaborate network of people that are financed and organized to rapidly show up to places where these protests or where these deportations are occurring. And so I'm not shocked that raids in Phoenix, bam, right there, protesters. Here's a picture. Here you can see one in full face mask. I believe that's a gun on his shoulder there. They showed up quite rapidly. So we'll see if we see any riots in the days to come in places like Phoenix. Let's see what else. Here's Minnesota right now. This is the hotel where Bovino is staying. This is apparently from tonight. That is, by definition, another insurrection using violence or intimidation. There. To affect public change, to affect the implementation of a law. Again, another night, another insurrection, based on the language of the left. Here's, I believe, that same hotel again tonight. More of them from in front of that hotel. Again, this is supposedly where Bovino is staying tonight. You get the picture. It's been declared an unlawful assembly. Unlike yesterday at the hotel, you could actually see there's adequate police presence here this evening.
Or less lethal devices, which may inflict significant pain or result in serious injury. Following routes of dispersal are available. Please leave to the south or the southeast towards Hemlock. You have 1 minute to disperse. If you continue to obstruct, resist, or interfere with the police officers, you'll be in violation of Minnesota State Statute 609.50. Obstruct.
There are people inside the hotel. I'm not going to show this, but there's someone that literally to the protesters outside went up to the window and gave them the old full moon with their ass cheek. Good for them. Meanwhile, more news that suggests that nothing will be done. We'll see if this ends up being true. DOJ withdraws requests for arrest warrants for Don Lemon, other protesters who disrupted church services in St. Paul, Minnesota, after a federal judge refused to sign off. Now, maybe there's other avenues they could take, but there you go. Let's see. I'm looking. See. Just looking. You gotta be careful scrolling ice. Some people are mooning people. You know that. Did I miss any super chats? Michael Pipecorn. If the Fort Snelling, $5, thank you. If the Fort Snelling news is true, you'll lose the bet. That would be a game changer. Good work out there tonight. Keep it up. So what's being reported is that Border Patrol will not be housed at hotels anymore, but they'll be housed at Fort Snelling. And this would be sort of a launching off point. I don't know that that suggests anything, though, really. I'll believe it when I see it, that they advance. But I hope you're right. Premonition, $5 says, after what Higby uncovered today, that tells me we are cooked. Sorry, I'm negative, but no reversing it now. Maybe. I'll still remain optimistic. I know what a holler is. My love is deeper than the holler. Well, Randy Travis. Where I grew up, where my dad grew up, we called it the holla. It was a holler. Wow. Jax, $5 says, go to a mosque and do that BS. Luckily, Christians aren't insane, yeah. Higby, the signal chat with all the people that are connected to it. Oh. Check real quick here again, see if there's anything new I'm missing. Now I'm just seeing garbage. Now notice how we have a bunch of right-wingers and centrists, etc., that are hyper looking into the shootings of Renee and Preddy, right? Who on the left did that with Ashley Babbitt? Who did that? Who prominently on the left's calling out the violence we see on a nightly basis from left-wingers? Who's calling that out? Anyone? Who called out the entering of this church? Prominently on the left. I didn't see it. Arena, yeah, Zertusk, yeah. Jericho says, Whataboutism. I love how people use that word and have no idea what it means. Why don't you define what whataboutism is? Why don't you define that? Whataboutism would be something like this. You say, Rob, you stole money from the bank. And I say, you should be under arrest. And I say, what about Sarah? She also stole money from the bank. That's whataboutism. Me saying our side is willing to be critical and investigate when we think there's an act of violence that's worth investigating. But the left is not. That's not whataboutism. That's not whataboutism at all. Jericho, thanks much. $5 says, how can you continue to support this administration? What has he done to make America better so far? Is it just as simple as red versus blue? Love you. Well, no, it's not just as simple as red versus blue. It is objectively true that the left and Kamala Harris would be far worse. For example, we'd probably be leaving tens of millions of more people in instead of having, at least at this point, a secure border. We'd still see the size of government jobs increasing. We'd likely to see inflation be increasing. We'd likely to see jobs be going predominantly to non-American born people, unlike we're seeing under Trump. Inflation would probably be higher. Real wage growth would probably be lower. Censorship efforts would be ramped up against people like me like they were during the Biden-Kamala administration. Trump is doing some things that are good. One, he secured the border. It's very good. Everyone should agree that. Second, some people could agree with some of his foreign policy decisions. The Maduro thing, although I question it, could be something that people say that are good. I think the most important thing is he helped move the Overton window on the conversations. Expose the lefts, again, as violent reactionaries. Well, he says, we need solutions. The rhetoric isn't getting us nowhere. We're failing as an empire. I'm genuinely worried, Rob. I thank you. I think that you're part of the problem, if I'm quite honest. I'm not trying to be rude. One side uses overwhelming power and force to inflict their will when they win on their opponents. They'll engage in acts of violence when they don't win. The other side's hesitant to use any force. And then someone like you comes in and goes, both sides need to come together. Okay. How's that ever going to change? What's their incentive to stop? The left will use brutal lawfare, as we saw, as they did Trump, for the most absurd things. And then when the right gets in office, you're like, hey, it's time to come together. Let's say that Trump did. Let's say Trump said, hey, you know what? Let's compromise. People voted for deportations, but now we're going to stop because it hurts the left's feelings. So we'll compromise. Do you think the left would then be like, you know what? Us too. Or do you think they'd say, great, now when we get in power, we're going to enforce our will again? You know what? We're going to stop rioting. It worked for us this time, and it brought us the compromise we wanted. But we'll stop. We won't use that tool anymore. You think that's going to work? It seems like a big brain take to be like, hey, listen, both sides, man, the right and the left, and it's not about right and it's not about left. And it's like we need to come together. Everybody needs to admit that their side has faults, and we need to come together. Yeah, where's that get us? So I don't buy this. I don't buy the I'm worried that the rhetoric, nope, sorry. Yeah, see, center left. Both sides need to come together. The left has many flaws. I don't agree with left-wing violence. Kindness over cruelty. The people that wish to inflict cruelty will always take this mentality to take advantage of you because they'll say, great, we're happy you believe in kindness and not cruelty. Now we're going to push and push and push, and you're just going to have to take it because you don't believe in cruelty, and fighting back would be cruelty. I'm not saying this to besmirch you, and I just think that that's a big part of the problem. Again, I'll play this again. It's one of my favorite videos. How did we get where we're at? Maybe.
Yes, I just don't understand how it gets to the point where
things get to terrible places one tiny step at a time. You know, if I encroach on you and I'm sophisticated about it, I'm going to encroach 2 millimeters. I'm going to encroach right to the point where you start to protest. Then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to wait. Then you're going to calm down. Then I'm going to encroach again right to the point where you protest. Then I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to wait. And I'm just going to do that forever. And before you know it, you're going to be back 3 miles from where you started, and you'll have done it one step at a time. And then you'll go, oh, how'd I get here? And the answer was, well, I pushed you a little farther than you should have gone, and you agreed. And so then I pushed you a little farther than you should have gone again, and you agreed. And if anybody's interested in this sort of process...
That's all we need. That's the problem, Jericho. Right there. You'll be like, well, I just want kindness. Okay. The people that don't will push you. And then when finally you're like, look, that's enough, they'll go, okay. Then they'll push further. That's where we're at. We've been pushed to the point. The riots are ubiquitous now with the left. This is just who they are, and it's not going to stop. The lawfare, it's who the left is. They don't fuck around. Trump will say things like lock her up and do nothing. Democrats will do it. They'll do it. The globalists don't give a shit. They don't care at all. They'll fucking mass import people from cultures around the world and call you a racist for noticing. They'll say it's a racist proposition to say, I think they want to give them a pathway to citizenship. Then they'll blatantly admit it. Yes, that's of course what we're doing. They'll say we don't give health care to illegals, and Gavin Newsom will go in Davos and say, I'm proud that we gave 14 million non-documented people access to health care. They don't give a fuck. They'll lie right to your face. They just don't give a shit. Solution is to fight back, to draw a line in the sand and say we won't be pushed any further. But the problem is people like you will say, but that's meanness. That's mean. We can't do that. We need to compromise. Even back in the day when I was like more libertarian, I used to say something like this. Imagine that my philosophy in life's like, I just want to be left alone. And imagine your philosophy on life is, I want to have total control over your life. What's the compromise? I give you half control over my life? That's the compromise? You're like, I should be dictator. And I'm like, no, we should all make our own decisions. Okay, I'll get to be half dictator. Solution is you say enough. When people decide they're going to use violence to intimidate you to get their way, you say, fuck you, and you meet that head on in a lawful way. Average redhead, thanks so much. Cool cat. Give some membership, thank you. Mr. B coming in with $40, the first 20, thanks so much. Says, so don't lie to ourselves anymore. We also Trump chickening out and everything in his first term and deliver countless failures and disappointing results. This is no different. He's not on our side. James Buchanan 2.0. And another 20 again, thank you. Says the biggest black pill in the last 24 hours is that people on our side don't have the will and the guts to win and to do what's necessary. Sucks to say, but our side's full of weak men that create hard times. Yeah. For me, look, I'll get there in a second. Roy the Boy, $5 says, we can't even agree on what it means to be kind. Right. I don't have a lot of, like, I'm not some fucking red pillar. Like, I'm not what you think of when you think of traditional masculinity. I'm just not. All the dudes I know around here are more fucking masculine than me in a conventional sense. Hunters, welders, carpenters, handymen. I suck at all that shit. These are the people I love, though. I love these people around here. I'm a fucking talker. How feminine is that? I mean, let's be honest. You know? I'm a weird guy. I've hunted. I've killed animals and ate them. I have. But to be honest, I'm not big on killing things. Even bugs. People that watch my channel know I try to keep bugs and I take them away if I can and put them outside, whatever, or I just try to leave them be. It pisses my wife off. She's always like, just kill the damn things. I want to be nice. If you meet me in real life, I hope that this comes across. Ask anyone, left, right, in between. When you see me at a place like Word War, or, if you happen to see me around, I try to treat everyone, every member of the public, with a courtesy. I don't want to see harm come to them. If I'm the cashier at the shop, I'm trying to be nice. Try to be polite to everyone I interact with. It's not in my nature organically to be, oh no, I'm not vegan. I eat the shit out of some meat. Right? But I want to be like a nice guy. That's who I want to be. I have plenty of friends that are left wing. And you want to know what's crazy? I oftentimes find myself in position in life being like, why me? Why is it me that this falls to? For example, when I did the home health care stuff with the adults with disabilities, the first guy I worked for, I've told some stories, incredibly large man that was incredibly violent, who had a lot of problems. Within like 3 weeks working there, I realized I was the only person in this guy's life that remotely gave a shit about him, even though he put me in the hospital several times. And I remember just being like, why is this up to me? I'm just some fucking drunk. There's no one better for this than me. There's no one that could come in and like actually care for this guy. But it wasn't. It was me. A failed raid. Well, thanks anyways for the attempt. And so a lot of this is, I don't want to have to be like, hey, fuck you. I draw this line in the sand and go fuck yourself. I don't really, that's not organically who I am. I've had to sort of train myself to that because I'll play a video for you. It's one of my favorite videos to play for my channel. And hopefully this illustrates the point. That's a lengthy video. It's like 10 minutes, but we'll play it. So I started streaming close to 7 years ago. And really, for me, a huge influential moment on my life that I'll never forget is the pandemic and the insanity of it and the double standards and the lies. And the worst part of it was seeing how many people on my side gave in to sort of the lockdowns, the shit like that. That was the worst part to me. You expect the other side, right? And I was so mad. I was fucking livid. I was watching people in my life lose their small businesses, their families being ruined, high school students not getting to experience their graduation, people I knew with parents or grandparents in nursing homes that died alone. The people I was working with, adults with disabilities, their lives shattered because the human connections that mattered most to them not being allowed to interact with them. And it blew my mind as I looked around. Why was I the only person that was like furious about this? Why? I didn't get it. I asked myself many a night after I was streaming, like, where the fuck is everyone? Like, I'm a lunatic. Like, I see this and I'm 99.9% sure I'm right. But everybody's just going along like a fucking zombie. And no one's speaking up. No one's yelling. And so this was me. A little fatter. You can see, I don't look happy, do I? So we'll play this video. This is about the pandemic.
I've had it. I've had it of being called a racist. I've had it of being told that I'm somehow inferior, that I'm less educated, that I'm somehow a 10-toothed rube, like Rick Wilson said on CNN, that I'm a racist if I disagree with the disastrous positions of Black Lives Matter that would be bad not only for all Americans, but particularly for Black Americans. I'm tired of saying if I don't believe corporate-led revolutions, that somehow that makes me an immoral person. I'm tired of people saying that I have to cower down and shut my mouth or I'll lose my job if I don't cow down to this mob. I'm tired of having to say, yeah, I hear you. Maybe there's a case for tearing down Confederate statues. I don't care. I don't have any love for Confederate statues. I don't care. But I'm not going to give in to the mob. I'm tired of it. It's worth fighting for its own sake. We're not going to listen to a bunch of people that hate this country and want to overthrow it and return us to segregation and want to make us a globalist, fascist, Marxist society. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of trying to calmly explain to people things like why toddlers shouldn't be able to vote and why you shouldn't be allowed to take people's property and we should have property rights. I'm tired of explaining to people why the police should arrest people that steal from stores, why they should arrest people that are skipping out on subway tolls. These are all conversations I've had this week. I'm tired. The people among us that know the least are the most arrogant and most confident that they know more than everyone else. I'm sick and tired of it. They don't live in the real world. They don't have real jobs. I had someone tell me about COVID. I said, how long do we have to get locked down in your world? They said, I live in Australia. The government just pays us. We could stay locked down indefinitely. I have to explain to you that if no one's working, let's just make it real simple. If no one's working on the farms, how's the government going to send you food? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being attacked. I'm tired of having been crushed in the culture war. I'm tired of Republican leaders that claim that they're defending us that aren't doing squat. I'm tired of on my radio show when I bring Republicans on, they say, yeah, we got to get back in the fight. And all they're doing is proposing legislation and filing court cases that they eventually lose. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people getting in touch with me saying that they're going to contact my employer and get me fired because I had the temerity to argue against Black Lives Matter. I'm sick and tired of having to pretend, oh, it's a noble thing. What they're doing out there is noble. It's not. They're terrorists. Does that mean everyone involved with them is? No. But if you're aligned with terrorists and you're marching with terrorists, then you're hurting this country. And I'm tired of pretending it's not the case. We have a nerve. We have backbones on here. Where's our leaders? I go in a panel, people say, can we just agree? I'm a conservative, but can we just agree if Trump would just wear a mask, then COVID would be solved? Really? So it's just about masks now. So we didn't need the lockdown. Well, no, you still need the lockdown, but let's be honest, it's Republicans. Really? It wasn't Democrats and their experts that said it was okay to go out by the hundreds of thousands and protest for Black Lives Matter, shoulder to shoulder, while they're burning down buildings. Well, all the scientists say that those contact tracers proved that the Black Lives Matter protests didn't spread the virus. Fuck you! I'm tired of the... Ugh. Your experts are full of it, if that's what they're claiming. These two things can't be true. That if you're shoulder to shoulder and if you're in large crowds, you spread COVID, but not if you're protesting for Black Lives Matter. Either they were wrong originally or they're wrong now. And I'm tired of being treated because they have the experts. The experts say this. Then I'm done with the experts. I don't care. The same experts, 5,000 of them that signed on, that said science, technology, engineering, and math is racist. The same experts that are endorsing Black Lives Matter, that's against the values of the Enlightenment and doesn't believe there's a thing such as truth, that's been attacking all of our hard sciences and arts, those experts? I'm tired of it. And we have to pretend. Oh, no. Here's a paper I have from the experts. These great experts that did this study say that, Black Lives Matter couldn't have spread this disease. Thousands of Bush officials have signed on to elect Joe Biden. Thousands of former Intel officials have signed on that Trump's needs to be impeached over the Ukraine. They didn't care about Biden's quid pro quo that Trump was trying to investigate. They don't care that the president of Ukraine's top prosecutor has came public with evidence that Biden committed extortion with U.S. tax dollars, including audio from Joe Biden himself, including financial transactions. They don't care. The experts didn't care about that. But Trump investigating it. The same experts that told us the FBI didn't do anything wrong in the Russia investigation. Only they did. It's war. That's what it is. I'm not advocating violence. Breitbart was a prophet. He saw this in 2008. Listen to him. You know what Breitbart's background was? He said, here's how I got into it. I lived in LA. I was a socialite. I went to all the cocktail and pool parties where everyone laughed at flyover country. But then he visited flyover country and he realized how arrogant and horrible and wrong all of these institutions were. We're talking about institutional and systemic bigotry and racism. Name me one institution that sticks up for rural America, for flyover country. Give me one. We're just told how privileged we are if we have a certain skin color. And God forbid you be a person of color from flyover country or a conservative person of color. You'll get attacked even harder. I don't need, look, I love Breitbart and he's an inspiration to me. But I don't need someone to come in and fight for me anymore. I'm going to fight for myself. I don't care what it costs. I'm sick and tired of the deck being stacked against people like us, normal Americans, being stacked against us, and us having to constantly grovel or be silent out of fear or wait for some leader to come along. There is no leader coming along. It's up to us. I'm sick and tired of the lies and the misdirection and the sophistry and the excuses and the hypocrisy. I showed you that video the other day. Black Lives Matter protesters start beating this man. What's the first thing the crowd starts yelling? Don't record it. Don't record it. Don't record it. They're liars. They don't want it recorded because they don't want it to be shown the thug terrorists that they are. But I have to believe 99% of these protesters are peaceful. So they sit around and watch innocents get beat and watch stores get burned? Oh, but it's all the police officers' fault. All of the violence was because tear gas was shot. It's garbage and you know it. And I'm tired of engaging on that level and pretending that these people are arguing in good faith. They're not. And if they are arguing in good faith, they're so ignorant that it makes worthwhile dialogue almost impossible. I'll keep plugging away. I'll keep doing these debates. I'll keep being polite. I'll keep keeping an open mind. But I know what they're doing. I know. And make no mistake about it, they're winning. They are winning. They've won the culture war. They control academia. They control the media. They control Silicon Valley. They control the entertainment industry. They control corporate America. All of it. Go order a McDonald's cheeseburger. Let me know what their motto is now. Turn on Amazon. Get some Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Go to Chase Bank. Any corporation. Nike. All buying into the Marxist terrorists trying to overthrow this country. All the great people in my family, in my life, in my community, all they want to do is go to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and provide for their families. And they're treated like shit over and over and over. And I'm sick of it. That's what keeps me going, them. We have a Marxist fascist revolution. Why isn't it directed at the people in charge? If you think that there's systemic racism, why aren't you directing your protest and your riots at the people that control the systems? Instead, you're rioting in inner city communities, burning down black communities, and directing your anger at normal Americans. And making it somehow racial, as if all white people are responsible or white people have original sin. Can't you see this is exactly what the establishment wants? Because their biggest fear is that people, regardless of skin color, will come together and say, this establishment has screwed us over for 60 years. But you can't bring that up or you're called a racist.
Oh, Papa Shango. Nice. Thank you, Hellstorm, for the post. I can't stress enough that I'm not calling for any sort of violence or secretive meetings, collaborations, militias, or anything of that effect. That sort of language won't be tolerated, and I want to be clear, that's not what I'm calling for. Violence of any political form is not justified at this day and age. So I want to be as clear as possible with talking about that. Thank you, everyone, for the donations. Mr. B for $5 says, remember when lefties in 2020 would say human life is more valuable than their property? I do remember. To the greater point of we can't wait for someone to just come along and save us. Yes, I totally agree. Totally agree. Now, notice what I'm talking about prominently there is not just the pandemic, but also Black Lives Matter and the riots that we saw ongoing. Same fucking playbook that we see today. And what did I say? They're winning. They're winning. And it was the same exact mentality that I saw from so many people on the right. Any calls? I understand. I had someone say, war. Does war mean violence? No, war doesn't mean violence. Breitbart talked about war. He wasn't talking about violence. He means we're going to political war. Anyone who's advocating in a direct way any calls for physical violence whatsoever will be immediately banned. I do not believe in the morality of that project. I do not believe in the strategy of that project, and I don't believe in intentionally violating TOS. I strongly suggest you change your viewpoint if that's something that you believe. And even if you don't, please have respect enough for my channel to not say those sorts of things to get my channel in trouble. Last chance, infidel. Now notice how I was talking about Black Lives Matter back then. Are you starting to get an understanding when it's like people are like, well, how could you be so hostile? How can you be so antagonistic to people on the right? Shouldn't you be more compassionate and say, yes, I know we have disagreements, but are you starting to see? Because for fucking 6 years, I've been shouting into the void. I've been shouting into the void. The left sets up the dominoes to make sure that violence occurs. And we have to tell, oh, they're noble. It's mostly peaceful. Ignore your lying eyes. And then, if there's an action, where predictably, when they set up to attack over and over and have violent interactions with police, and police ever takes one step over the line, they say, shouldn't we look at that? Oh my God, look at how terrible this is. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? You can't see what's happening? You can't see this? They're literally locking us down as we speak, locking us down, telling us we can't go to work. Our kids can't go to school. We can't go visit our parents in the nursing home. We can't have weddings for our daughter. We can't have funerals for our grandparents. We can't go to the fucking public park. In some places you couldn't go to church. Meanwhile, Black Lives Matter's out there protesting and rioting. And I'm looking around like, what the fuck? Where is everyone? Where is everyone? Where are they? And I was saying things back then. I used to get mocked because I did all these left-wing panels. And they'd say, all Rob does is talk about violence and Black Lives Matter. And I was like a broken record. I kept saying over and over. Eventually, the lesson that's going to be taken from all this is it's okay to use violence. And the right will do it. And when the right uses violence, you motherfuckers will lose your mind. No, that's not true. Blah, blah, blah. January 6th happens. It's all so predictable. And I understand it. I understand. It's a very effective strategy. When you've built the mechanisms that these sort of establishment people have that are using the face of the Democratic Party and the left, you have such an advantage. It's sort of like, do any of you watch football? Right? It's like the tush push, the stupid play, like if, it gets you a yard every time. So if it's, if you're close to a first down, you just line up all these people and you push, and it's pretty much an unstoppable play. That's what they have. We'll use violence. We control all of the places that shape the narrative, or rather the ones we don't control are ineffective at breaking through in the narrative. We'll have the media defend us and say we're noble and we're great and we're awesome people. All the celebrities will defend us. All of academia will defend us. We'll have social media geared towards having those positions being the most prominent. Corporate America will defend us. And then this makes violent altercations with people we disagree with in law enforcement inevitably. And at some point, one of those altercations will go over the line to the point where we'll be able to spin it to everyone. Do you see how evil and bad they are? And they'll go, I guess you're right. Now here I am, 5-6 years later, and people are like, I'm a big fan of you, Rob. Names I see all the time. And it's the exact same thing. And it's disheartening. Back then, when I did that video, I was on a website called Above Top Secret. It's like a conspiracy theory website. But it turned into politics was how I was using it. So everybody's got pseudonyms. My name was Grambler. Grambler. I had a little Bill Hicks avatar. That was my guy, right? And it was a message board where you'd talk about politics. So you'd get to learn people based on their, pseudonyms and their avatars. And I'd been on there for years, so I knew a lot of these people. The lefties, the righties, the libertarians, the neocons, the socialists, the communists, right? You'd start to get a feel for them. And there were a lot of people that called themselves constitutional conservatives, right? A lot. And I was absolutely shocked during the pandemic. Almost all of them were like, yeah, it's 15 days to slow the spread. And I was like, are you fucking nuts? And there was me and this one libertarian guy. And we're just pushing back again. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I watched these people that were the most strict constitutionalists on there saying we ought to rip up and suspend the Constitution because of a virus. With no proof. And they had a bunch of predictions about the lethality and this, that, and the other. And of course, years later, I went back and was like, now what? And they were like, yeah, you were right. And I said, that's how I know we're fucked. Because you, the people that should have known best, were like, And that was it. And I was like, we're fucked. We are absolutely fucked. If these people are falling for it. I get the normies. I get the socialists. I get the lefties. But these people, who I've argued with on their side for years, constitutional conservatives. And I'm like, you people, you are giving into this. That's how I feel now. When I see these people that I respect, that I know legitimately are, supporters of mine or fans, and I watch them fall for this crap. I watch it and I'm like, well, maybe it's time to back off. Maybe it's time to have more compassion. I'm like, holy fuck, we are fucked. We are absolutely fucked. We're fucked. How could it be? How could you be someone that's like, the left wanted open borders and they're setting all this up. And yet it's time to pull back now. I think it's time to pull back. It's leading to violent confrontations. You're like, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to do. Yes, I expect the lefties to say that. Of course. And then people are like, well, your tone when dealing with it's too harsh. Probably. You're probably right. I'm fucking frustrated. I don't feel especially intelligent or any shit like that. But, I mean, you could see me back then saying, we can't see what Black Lives Matter doing. We can't see how they're violent. We can't see how that's occurring every day. And they're winning. And they're going to keep doing it. And we need to stand up. We can't wait for someone. And then 6 years later, I'm having verbatim the same fucking conversation. The same conversation 6 years later. And people are like, yeah, but you're a little too animated. You're a little too emotional. I wish more people were as animated. I wish they were. Same president. We got Trump. Same results. Except now we got 3 more years of the violence. So it's not my nature. That's what I'm saying. It's not my nature to be like, I'm I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy like, fuck you. I'm not the guy that you're going to see be like, hey, you're unattractive. Hey, lose weight, motherfucker. That's not who I am. I'm not out there being abrasive for abrasive sake. I'm not. I feel like that I've been forced into hardening my heart over years and years and years of looking at this stuff and dealing with it. And I look around and and obviously there are base people, there are, but I look around and I'm like, what is it? Why aren't there more people that could reach these obvious conclusions? I don't understand it. Why? How can they not see the writing on the wall? How could you not see it? Just water. That's all I drink. Sometimes I drink water with energy rush, but other than that, it's always just water. So that's just sort of me trying to show you a little where I'm coming from. Now, that doesn't excuse it. If you're like, fuck you, I think you treated me like an asshole. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know. I try my best. I'm just being authentically who I am. More super chats. For God in Texas. Thanks so much. $5 says truth doesn't change with time. Perry Incorporated, thanks so much for the 5. Says today was another day of trying to get my friends to understand the underlying political games regarding the ICE protest and failing because bad shoot. Welcome to my life. It's where I've been 6-7 years now. Jax, $5 says, lost a lot of family communication over the jab. I didn't take the BS and well, here and alive. Some of those family members stuck to their guns. Marino's Legacy, great to hear from you, man. $20 says, do you suggest ICE agents apply for political asylum in another country like Russia or somewhere in Eastern Europe if the next administration hits the tribunals? I don't trust our politicians have the political will to protect them. Maybe it's something I hadn't thought about, but I agree with your premise that they're definitely going to go after them. Speaking of, yeah, of course, Peace Code dog walked me. You know what's even funnier than that? Even funnier than that. Do you know, someone sent me the clip of Whick saying today that he absolutely dismantled me yesterday? Can you believe it? Whick legitimately thinks that that was like a great exchange for him, that he dismantled me. Surreal. Truly Dunning-Kruger at its finest. So, hey, I welcome it. Get it out there. I hope it's, look, I will give Whick credit. There's red meat for him because he insulted me and he got to stand on a soapbox and go, blood on your hand. The way he talks is so funny. And you see that the blood is on your hands of what we see these violent ICE people doing. And it is your moral duty to be able to stop them, or the blood is actually on your hands, you fucking coward. There you go. I love the cadence that Whick talks with. You can tell that he's really means business, right? Hey, Whick, you're recommending people put their bodies on the line and go obstruct ICE and break the law. Are you going to do it? It's cold out. Oh, okay. Okay, Whick. Okie dokie, buddy. I did great in this interaction. Rob isn't smart enough to keep up with me. I would put my body on the line against these domestic terrorist ICE people if it wasn't cold. But you all should. Ah. Thanks, Aquino. He did show me. I was intimidated too, man. Woo! It looks like they're starting to arrest people today that will promptly be left out, I'm assuming.
You are now under arrest. Please sit down and wait for instruction.
What's your credentials?
I'm at level 12 news.
I can't hear you.
I'm at level 12 news. BG on the scene. I've just pressed.
You don't have any press credentials?
I don't. I can show you. All
right, why don't you move out there, okay? Just get out there.
Reno's Legacy, another $5 says, what's the left's logic when it comes to territorial integrity or reservation of the Congo? I have no clue. Idiom, thanks so much. $5 says, Rob, good to see you streaming. I've realized this was a spiritual battle a while ago. I chose to get right with the Lord and help others do the same. I agree. Totally agree. Jax, $5 says, blood is on Rob's hot dog. Shh. And Aquanote, thanks so much for the $2. Appreciate it. Let's see if we have any other footage for anything going on tonight. Here's more footage from Freedom News of the arrest after the unlawful assembly tonight outside the hotel there where Bovino was staying.
My name is
I know you're getting some good shots. You just need.
South or the southeast towards Hemlock Lane. You have 3 minutes to disperse.
We've seen that. See if there's any other footage. Apparently, Trump had a 2-hour meeting with Kristi Noem. That's all I'm seeing right now. So I'm not seeing all right. Yeah. Don't see anything there. Now there's reporting Bovino didn't get fired, so we'll have to wait and see. More super chats. Hellstorm, thanks so much. $10 says, clarify, I wasn't calling for a V word. Just want to see people get organized at community level, such as making sure your sheriff isn't a DEI hire. Yeah, that's great. And you should get involved in local politics. Totally agree. Totally agree with that. Let's see if I have any other videos from back in the day worth checking out before we start to wind down for the night. By the way, in case you all wonder, like, you have no idea how long I streamed with no one that ever watched me. 13 views, 47 views, 22 views. Let's see what this is, huh? We'll have a little fun. What is this? So here's a little rant I'll do. And let me tell you, from time to time, I'll do these rants. It's not because I'm really upset. I just like ranting. I like talking. I think it's therapeutic. So I hear this. I've been hearing this after my Joe Rogan video, but I've heard this a lot. Whether it be on my YouTube channel, people I meet in real life, social media that I'm on, or other websites I'm on where I'm discussing politics and stuff. I'll hear something. This is the equivalent of it. You know, normally I respect what you have to say, but, you know, this was beneath you. This was beneath you. Why? Now, I know, like, I'm hearing this about the Joe Rogan thing. Like, so, no, you know, people were upset that I was criticizing my thoughts on him. I don't understand why. And I'll get to the irony behind it in a minute. But let's see what I did first to see if I'm being hypocritical. Because one might say, fuck it. I'm bored with my own video. I get no respect. Yeah. Sure. We'll change the rules of the... I see you, Are We Not Men. We play whip songs now for $100. Sure, that sounds great. We'll change the rule. Why not? Oh, sorry. Any other? Rob, has YouTube recommended that old video of Obama where his deportations were going on from like 12 years ago? I haven't seen it. Have a good one, Go-Go. So, yeah, it was... The flashbang lady blew her hand off, throwing a flashbang at... Yeah, there you go. Cynic, thanks so much. $20. Says, love your energy, bro. Participation trophies, political correctness, got everybody soft. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. By the way, we're crushing it. We're $500. We can get to 1,000. We can do it.
Crushing it.
Oh, yeah. We can
I'm
get
excited.
that tonight. Look at this. Wade Bugs. $100. This thought you'd never ask.
That's why I came in.
We'll get. Oh, you want to do it now?
Well, no, I mean, are you? Oh, you're getting to the end? Okay.
Well, no, I mean, if for $100, I'll play it now. It's not like I'm in the middle of something. So there we go.
You know, I love me a good old whip song, and
yeah, me too. I love it
when we're bringing them back from the dead.
Let's see. Oh no. Oh, this one's not the worst, if I remember. Oh, I forgot to show it on stage. It was Black Southern Church Choir. So, all right, here we go.
That they added that one?
I've had that one.
Oh.
Where there's a whip.
Don't worry, we'll get to...
Where there's a whip. Where there's a whip. Where there's a whip. Where's a whip. Oh, we don't want to go to war today. But the Lord of the land.
500.
Where there's a whip.
500. This guy's your hand.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, there's a whip, boy, there's a whip. Ooh, a crack on the back says we're gonna fight. There's a march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
Fantastic. Woohoo, there's more. Gave me a little. Dude, I don't think we got a left right yet.
Where there's a whip, where there's a whip, where there's a whip, oh, where there's a whip, where there's a whip, rise, oh, there's a way. Where there's a whip, where there's a whip, where there's a whip, oh, left.
Yeah.
Left.
That's pretty quick. All right. Oh, we got another one. Oh, shit. Gravius, thanks so much. Just make that 2 whip songs. Give me a minute. I want to play some more footage here. I promise I'll play it. Thank you. You guys are incredibly generous. So I want to play this video. This is more footage from the riots ongoing. Oh, shoot. I clicked the wrong button. Give me a second. All right. Here we go. This one you can see a little more violence. Okay. You get the idea. Now, remember, yesterday when you saw Whick talking about if he subjectively feels that they're going too far. Now, this isn't ICE. This is the state police. Did they go too far? Is Whick justified in telling his audience to break the law to try to help those people that are being arrested? That's what's happening. H1N1 says, there are barely any protesters. Why are we even talking about this? Well, we're talking about the unlawful assembly and the obstruction of law enforcement. But you're right. Let's talk about you. Do you guys remember when HN said of black people, this is what HN feels about black people. If you're a white person and you go to a historically black university and you want to do like a Steven Crowder, like change my mind thing, you as a white person have to expect that black people will use violence against you. That's what H1 believes. That's what he believes. He believes black people can't control themselves, that they have to engage in acts of violence. You're right. We don't have much to talk about, so let's talk about it. Let's focus on our friend HN here. Great point. That's who he says that the only reason that people didn't just call the shooter, the ICE officers that shot Brady, murder was because he was Jewish. He was Jewish. How about Rampage? Yes, good point. Rampage Jackson's son. Black man who was supposed to be in a wrestling match that's like fake, and used physical violence to beat a man almost to death. He blamed the white man. Oh, he's certainly a racist piece of shit. He absolutely is. Now, what we're going to do is give HN a chance to call in and defend his racism. He's right. Why would we talk about the left-wing riots that we see? Why would we talk about that? It's not important. So, HN, you have my undivided attention. Would you like to call in, H1? Would you like to? Want to call in? Or how about the time he pissed and moaned and was upset because he called in and my editor clipped it because he's a fucking crybaby? You know you did quite well in a debate when you get upset when the clip's been put out there. Would you like to call in, HN? Are we having a good time now? We're not talking about the riots. There's not a lot of the people there. Right? We having a good time now? Now we're talking about something different, right, HN? HN, would you like to call in, my friend? No? You're not enjoying the conversation now. That's odd. HN, I'm asking you if you would like to call in. If the answer is no, just say it. I'm not interested in your deflecting. Aren't we having fun at what we're talking about now? Would you like to call in, my friend? What do you say? That'll give us something to talk about. We don't have to spend our time. You're not interested in calling in. Well, thanks so much for playing. I'm not interested in people that are too cowardly to call in. Tell me what I should or should not be talking about. So, we also don't like racist here. We don't like horrible racist like you. So go fuck yourself. There we go. I hope he enjoyed that we redirected the conversation there a little for him. All right, let's see. Let's see. Any more of the riot stuff going on? H2N2. It's funny. It's fun to talk. How do I call in? You don't. We're taking call-ins for ops. Calling someone racist, lol, come on, man. Okay. Yes, a left-winger that wants to call other people racist, that then says that white people should not enter historical black universities with the political opinions because black people can't help but to use physical violence against them and excuse that. I'll say that someone who wants to call me racist, I'll call them racist right back at that. The orbiters become orbited. You'll never be able to talk to me about your BK kingdom. Okay. Last night was good, right? Last night we had Whick call in, and Pisco call in, and one of Destiny's top Reddit mods call in. It was a good time. Good time. A couple more. The footage I'm seeing right now is just all the same footage from different angles of the arrest. So I don't see anything different. All right, IO one whip song so far. So let's play that now while we wait. Did I share the right? I don't know why you would admit that you're. Oh no. Oh, this one's not bad.
Oh, that's my second favorite. This is
Yeah.
the one I made.
It's pretty good.
This is an Averstono here.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Fantastic.
Here we go. I'm going to listen and keep looking for more riot footage.
Well, there's a whip. There's a way. Well, there's a way. There's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the land says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Well, there's a whip. Well, there's a whip. There's a whip.
Dude, that's like an avarice beginning right there. I feel like bringing me back to day one.
It's been a while. It has.
Dude, we haven't heard that in so long.
It's been a hot minute. Where are we at here?
Well, to the back while you bring the fun videos up.
Well, yeah. I think I'll probably be wrapping up here. I don't know.
All right.
Unless anyone has anything else. I've had like 3 hours of sleep in like 2 days, I feel.
Dude, I don't know how you're doing. I'm impressed. I was just talking to this with the guys in Discord.
Now listen, to be fair, I would have loved to make it to the full dono goal tonight, but I don't know. Probably not going to happen. That's all right. Jesse Marquez says best whip song. Yes. Yeah.
Dude, see, I mean, my favorite, well, it's debatable.
It's funny.
There is Disney.
Yeah. But I'm looking, I don't see anything else. Now, more protesters, it does look like we're showing up 30 minutes ago, but it doesn't look like anything's kicked off yet.
Yeah, it's just a crazy world out there.
Yeah,
I'm just happy that you're actually doing really good at keeping us all up to date.
I'm trying. I'm trying. It's so weird because some nights I'll be like debating someone or something, and then it's like all of a sudden I realize I mixed something that was like a big story that came up. So it's like I'm trying to pay attention.
Well, you were doing that, and that one time I actually sent you in the finger one. I was like, oh, dude, this is just it. He's going to think this is a hot take. A finger was just bitten off.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was crazy, that guy getting his finger bit off.
That's the second one.
It's insane.
Like, they're going for fingers. They're going for fingers and toes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine saying that. Yeah, a bunch of lefties trying to bite off fingers. They're the good guys, though. That's them.
That's like us. But like, it's funny because I was talking to Bates grandma, and she said the same thing. That's like the most that's like the form of gorillas and monkeys going for limbs, right? Like, there's not even like a trait of humanity going biting fingers.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I don't really. I think we'll raid Teriak, who I smacked around in that debate the other night. I think we'll raid him.
He's always fun to smack around.
It was fun.
Well,
but
again, it was a pleasure
any other?
being here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you,
Anyone
guys.
else? Jesse Marquez is going to be the last dono of the night, the winner, as it were. Anyone else? Anything else that you want? Questions you have before I go out here? No call-ins tonight. Junkie and Shadow, appreciate it though. I'll take call-ins from lefties sometimes. Ray Gritty's my best friend. It's just a bunch of Are We Not Men friends that are streaming right now. So I do look tired. I am tired. But look, I'll wrap up with this. I don't know. We'll see what happens politically. The truth is, will I be on tomorrow? Yes. Will there be a siege? There probably will not be a siege. I'll explain why. But here's the thing. Don't get blackpilled about this shit, right? Christ is God. There you go. Smile. Have fun. We're here. We're alive. You're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be a good day. Somewhere out there, someone who loves you, a wife, a husband, a child, a parent, a brother, a sister, a neighbor. Fuck it. We'll raid Grid then. We do our best.
Oh, we're raiding Grid? Oh, I told Teriak we're raiding him.
Oh, fuck. Well, we raided him the other night. Tell Teriak, sorry.
Oh.
I think we told Grid we were raiding him on the other end, so apologies. But here's the thing. Getting dour and shitty isn't going to help things. It's all right to be pissed off. It's all right to be yelled. It's all right to be angry. It's all right to be sad. But I don't believe in the black pill stuff. I don't believe in it at all. So even if I think things are unlikely to change politically in the short term, I'm still going to try to push for the outcomes that I would like to see. And I hope you all do as well. And I hope you know that there are things that are more important. I really do. That's right. Sydney Sweeney loves you, Kokomo. Oh, Dr. J with the sick burn there. So, don't get too down. It's all right. We're going to raid over to Grid Motorsports. Apologies to Teriak. I'll get you next time, man. So, prayers out to all the people that are in ICE. That we don't see any more violence. I wish it would end today. Prayers out to all of you to stay safe. Thank you so much, Avarice. Thank you to my editor, Black Elk. Thank you to all of my mods. I'm so tired. I don't know that I could get the name of all the ones I always thank. Naughty Germ, EOD, Achilles Wear, Zen's Forehead, Are We Not Men? Thank you to all of them. Please. Thank you to everyone who donated. $100 whip song. That's the new thing, right? We're going to come up with some fun shit. Some grifty shit that's fun. We are, I promise. We're going to get the merch store running. My whole town is like MIA. The snow's been so bad here, so nothing's open really. Remember, keep Charlie Kirk and his family in your thoughts. Never forget what they did. The violent attack that they did. How they celebrated it. His assassination. He was a father. He was a husband. They mocked his wife and family. Never forget. So please say a prayer for him and their family, for all the ICE agents tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you. Oh, lest I forget, I will be doing the extravaganza tomorrow. So part of the reason that I will not be doing a TikTok siege is Andrew's out, which is why I'm doing the extravaganza. So should be a good extravaganza. Make sure 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Crucibles Rumble channel. It'll be me, Jake Rattlesnake, Mr. E. It should be a lot of fun. So please check that out. And then I'll be back here at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Also, if I choose, I may decide to stream during the day. Probably unlikely. I got some stuff to take care of, but it is what it is. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll talk to you all soon. God bless Charlie Kirk and his family. As always, have a good one.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.